streaming.
We're streaming.
So
Oh,
hopefully,
sick.
hopefully it's working.
Amazing.
All right.
Everybody, welcome to the Music City Writers Room. For those who don't know, I'm Scott Barrier, and over there is John Clinebell.
Hello, everybody.
And we're the hosts of the show. We have special guests come on and hang out with us who either are from Nashville and trying to make it in Nashville in some way, shape, or form, or are traveling through. But the one thing we have in common is that we are all into music, and so that's why we are the Music City Writers Room, because we talk about their lives and what they do as far as the music industry goes, music careers. And so we can jump in. We can either start interrogating. What do you want to do, John? You want to start interrogating?
You just go for it. I'm just testing to see how we're doing here. Yeah, we got one person tuned in, which is apparently me.
Okay, amazing.
Gotta start somewhere.
This is great.
Yeah.
Well, just
Yeah,
in case,
I can hear it.
Just
All right, cool.
Yeah, so just in case somebody else is tuning in, we have Jericho over here. Yep, Jericho, and special guests from Australia who are visiting us for this week, right?
Yeah.
When do you go back?
Monday.
Monday. Okay, so we got them just before they left, which is awesome.
Good timing.
Yeah. But this is Jack and Piper.
Hi.
Hey.
So, and I want to pronounce your name correctly.
Mariano.
See, I was gonna say Mariano. See, that's
close
why I
enough.
asked.
That's
Same
fine.
thing. Mariano.
I've gotten everything. I've gotten marinara, so you can't mess it up too bad.
Don't make me hungry. I don't know what Italian food. And so,
It's
Hey, I don't want to
Valentine's
interrupt
Day.
the flow of things, but apparently there's two people on here. So there's somebody out there that's
Hey.
watching
Oh.
us.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
and you're free to send comments in, right? So we can
Yeah, chat with us.
Yeah, chat with us, question, whatever you have. And so, of course, we also have Hannah.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the awesome hair.
I don't always do, yeah, with the awesome hair. And so, like I said, we're all somehow acquainted and associated with the music world and music industry. So, I guess one thing we can jump in is since we have some special guests. We talked to Jericho last week, and we're going to ask you probably some similar questions again. Since now we have what two viewers, two people watching us.
Yeah, we got two.
And
There's one other person out there. There's,
Yeah. So
aside
we
from me.
appreciate you
So.
being here. So, but we'll kind of go around and get acquainted with everybody. So we'll start with our friends from Australia. So you're here for a week, and they just literally they left us and drove back from Atlanta today, and they just got here just before we went on the air. So how was that? How was that trip?
It was good. We went actually further. We were out at Sea Island.
So like right on the bottom, right on the coast.
It was great though. Jack is a session guitarist and he's playing with an amazing act here in Nashville called Craig Wayne Boyd. He music directs for Craig when he's in Australia.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Great. It was a lot of fun.
We kind of just jumped in the bandwagon, literally. It was like this beautiful, like orange, like bright orange with like the old school brown and yellow stripe.
Nice.
Big old
Yeah.
Ford van, filled it full of guitars. Drove for I think 11 hours yesterday. Made it to the gig pretty much in time to basically like sound check quickly, get changed, do the gig. I feel like we went to bed, woke up, did it all in reverse, and
It took a
here we
bit
are.
longer.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Atlanta, you need to sort out your traffic.
Yeah.
I have no answer for you on that one.
That's okay.
Nobody knows what to do with the traffic in Nashville. It's absolutely crazy. So, so on your way back, you were talking about how you stopped at a particular place.
Yeah, we stopped at a Buc-ee's for the first time. And maybe how would you describe it?
I actually
Jack?
think I've got a description for it.
Okay, please.
Has anyone ever gone to like the major shopping mall in a big area on the 24th of December?
Unfortunately, yes.
At like 3 p.m. though, so we're not talking for like the super late comers. We're talking for those people that are like unorganized and prepared all at the same time. And there is this storm with a vengeance, and it's like we got fuel on pump 4, we got fuel on pump 40, and everything in between. These people need roasted pine nuts. These people need barbecue. And we've got a line of 50 people deep to get a photo with the service station beaver.
Which
I
we
didn't see
did
that when I
get.
went. I've been there once, and I feel like I kind of missed out. Like
No, we posed with
you
the
can
beaver.
get a picture with the
have to.
beaver.
You can.
Yeah, you have to.
If you
Fucking
don't, then
awesome.
it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Buddies.
I might have to drive 2 hours to do that
Just to get the
Like-
at some point.
Yes.
And you get barbecue on your trip,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
brisket.
That's great,
The
yeah.
brisket's
Yeah.
amazing.
It looked
Brisket's
really
The
good.
highlight.
We
Yeah.
had chicken tenders.
It was great.
That's
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to go wrong with chicken tenders
Yeah,
in
it
the
really
South.
is.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite thing. Like, Bucky's was great. Chicken tenders are great. But in my mind, IHOP is the best.
IHOP is good.
Huh.
Oh, I haven't had
Interesting.
IHOP. Wow. All right.
And I
Yeah.
think what did it for me was like we'd gone to see the Opry. We'd seen Vince Gill. So we were kind of like in a state of bliss because we'd seen Vince Gill.
Yes.
Which I think that's just the effect that he has on people,
Right.
He does.
which is
Yeah.
fine.
It's a thing.
Yeah, and then we go to IHOP, and I'm like, can I just have these breakfast tacos? And can I get like this stack of pancakes? And like, ordering a separate meal. And the guy's like, no, you can get the pancakes as a side. And I was like, what do you mean?
We just don't have this kind of thing in Australia. It's a novelty that's not going to wear off.
Yeah,
Yeah, America, you just staple 2 meals together. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
it's
call it a
it's one
side.
thing, right?
Yeah. Well, that's right. It's a
Welcome
side
to
if
America.
you knock like 1/5 of like a full meal, which is actually the size of 2 meals off. That's a side. Yeah, and you're safe.
yeah.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, since you're in the South, you have to try the Waffle House.
Oh,
gotta
yes.
try the Waffle House.
Mandatory.
That's-
Okay.
that's an
Gotta get the
experience.
All-Star.
All right.
Waffle House is an experience. Yeah,
Yes.
All-Star
All-Star.
special.
You get like 7 sides.
yeah, you
Okay.
get waffle,
Yeah.
you get eggs, you get
hash browns or
toast,
grits.
hash browns. The grits are actually
Toast.
pretty good
Yeah.
sometimes.
What
and then
are grits?
sometimes they're good
ground-
sometimes because
We
sometimes like the way it
Corn.
works is
Ground
like
corn. That's really
if it's towards the end of the breakfast shift, you don't want the grits because they're kind of like almost none of them left and they're all dried out and stuff.
Okay.
They'll usually tell you if the grits are bad, like you just get the hash browns instead.
The hash
but-
browns, you get all kinds of stuff added
Oh,
to
yeah.
it. You know, and
Covered,
they,
smothered.
covered, smothered, capped,
diced.
chunked,
Oh, yeah,
diced. They
chunked.
have all these fancy words
so
for
good.
tomatoes,
Coffee's
mushrooms,
really good.
cheese.
Coffee's
Like,
very good.
okay.
Coffee's really good there. Yeah, and you can also get stuff added to the waffle. Too.
Yeah.
Chocolate
Yes, you can.
chips.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You know?
I do blueberry pecan.
great.
You know, yeah.
It's
You can-
yeah, it's yeah.
You're onto
yeah, oh,
something
yeah.
there.
Oh,
It's really good.
I highly recommend it.
I think
Yeah,
it's
we-
actually better than
It is.
IHOP.
I was
I think
gonna
it's better
say.
than IHOP, and it's also cheaper.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Jack,
100%.
I know you
What
probably
time do they
had.
close?
They're open all
24
the time.
All the time.
They're
They don't
24/7.
close?
They never
24/7.
open.
Jack,
Never close.
can we go
never
to
close.
Waffle House?
So
Is this podcast sponsored?
Yeah, we need to.
No.
Could this podcast?
Bucky's and
Buy
Waffle House, if
Bucky's,
you're
Waffle
listening,
House.
we totally want you to
I have-
sponsor
Yeah,
our podcast.
every week we'll talk about you.
Had to be.
Promise we will.
But my request goes one step further. They have to broadcast the podcast at all of these locations.
Totally
Oh,
down.
Surely there's a
Yeah,
TV
totally
in a
down.
Waffle House, right?
That would be
There's
awesome.
jukeboxes. They still have
That's
jukeboxes.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott, you're selling us.
And they actually have Waffle House songs on the jukeboxes.
What?
Nuh-uh.
I didn't know that.
I did not know
that
that.
either.
Yes.
Are
So
they
wait,
penned by Scott Barrett?
not yet.
Not yet.
Hey,
But
Scott,
that is bucket list.
we fly out at 5:30 on Monday. Do you want to write a
The
Waffle
Waffle
House
House?
song in the morning? We'll go to
All right.
Waffle House tonight, do some market research.
Inspiration.
Because
Yeah,
it's
that's-
Valentine's
that's
Day.
right.
Surely it's going to be packed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Waffle House is always an experience.
Yes,
There's
it
like
is.
the people that go there to eat. The staff is always like a lot of times like just zingy, like give like one-liners. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're
just-
fun
Fair.
usually.
They're
Yeah.
usually
Zingy, I like
There's
I don't know, yeah.
memes about the Waffle House workers.
The little
I'm not
attitude.
going to talk about
I'm
those
just
here, but you should look
imagining
those up.
like
It's
kids.
Can I
after
talk
d-
about it? Can I talk about one
Sure,
story?
you
or-
go right ahead.
Yes.
All right. So my wife and I went to this one particular one. I'm not going to say which location. And so we're sitting there, and the woman comes up. She's like, "I'm not supposed to be here today." and so we're like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, I already got my drunk on." And
Oh.
and she said it was supposed to be my drinking day, me and my boyfriend. And and she goes, "I already got my drunk on, but I started before my boyfriend so he could drive me. They really needed somebody to fill in." So I was like, "All right, let me get dressed and come on in. I got my drunk on." She literally kept saying that. And so, but she was awesome. And we got all of our stuff. She came back. She's like, "How am I doing?" We're like, "Perfect." We got all of our food. We got straws. We got silverware. And so, but that's the kind of personality you're gonna find at a Waffle House, way over IHOP. You just
Okay.
never know.
So maybe more people should drink on the job. I mean, maybe the moral of the story. I don't know.
I mean, there's new government. It's time to make changes.
Yeah, seriously, it's making
Oh my god.
presidential decree.
I just remembered I have a Waffle House story too about the staff. I completely forgot about this, but one night I went there after work and I had gotten my drink on, okay? And my friend and I were eating and I grabbed the coffee cup and I was like, I love this mug. It's so cute. And the guy was like, just take it. So I still have this mug. I drink coffee out of it sometimes. I'm like, they're just your family.
That is
you know?
the thing in
They're
Australia.
Generous and
Yeah.
nice.
That's an Australian thing you do at the pub. See, if you still have a drink, because if you're going through the terps, it's gonna,
As we would call it.
we
locally.
would call it, and everyone else has finished before you, and everyone's getting up to leave. You just take a drink and you walk out, and you're like, "Oh, I have the schooner." And
You
They
said
don't do
so many
anything?
words
Wait,
I
what do
don't
you call it? A
understand.
schooner? What is
Yeah,
it?
sorry.
What's a
And what's
schooner?
terps?
I've never
That
heard
sounds like a
of it.
boat.
the terps are just like
Isn't it?
getting on the drink.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
I thought a schooner was a boat. Am I wrong?
It's a glass
So-
size.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a glass size.
Yeah,
I can't
Like-
believe I know that.
there's like
I cannot
schooners,
believe I know that.
pints,
As soon
and
as she said it, I'm
mints.
like,
And pots.
Wait, a schooner is
pots.
bigger than a pint?
Nah, smaller.
Smaller.
Okay.
Yeah.
what is it again? What are the sizes?
So you get a pot, a mid, a schooner, and a pint. And then in Australia, if you go in any bigger than that, you're at a German beer house and you're getting a stein.
Or you're at home.
I was gonna say that whole thing sounds like a challenge. Stair stepping
People
your
do
way
a
up to more
flight.
beer.
Flight of that?
Yeah.
Flight challenge.
Yeah.
It's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. So now that we've talked about everything but music,
Yeah.
so obviously you're from Australia, and so when did you all like? Well, first of all, you met at some point, but before that, like, how did you get into music, and before you all met, and then after you met, like, what?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I think I caught the bug of music, is what my parents have kind of explained to me. Basically, from about, I guess, like 3.5, 4, when you start having like a little bit of memory, as you know, as a little kid, I was apparently obsessed with just like whenever like the music channel would come on the TV, and I come from, I wouldn't say like a house of musicians, but a very musical household. My dad played drums when he was younger. Mum sort of played at church occasionally, but would probably not really consider herself a musician. But we were that family that, you know, turned the CD player on at pretty much breakfast time and turned it off just before dinner. And I was just always encouraged. It was just the thing. Guitar sort of became the thing. That's what I just gravitated to. And I was fortunate enough to have music lessons from about 5, or guitar lessons, and just met heaps of supportive people all the way through. And at no point was it ever not going to be the thing I was going to do.
Well, that's awesome. Now you do write though. I mean,
Yes.
yes, because we wrote the other day, and so I just want to make because it's so funny because I described you as a guitar player, and somebody said, "Well, he's a writer too. You know that?" I said, "Yeah, okay. We wrote together."
So
assuming it was.
I've been busy and lazy all at the same time, and I'm happy to describe it like that at the moment because I've been busy, fortunately, being a part of other people's projects. In a few different facets. I'm lucky enough to musically direct for a few people, which obviously takes up a little bit of extra time than maybe just going out and doing some shows. And I collaborate with Piper a lot on her sort of project. But I do have a project of my own under my own name, Jack Hudson. And
Okay,
it's
good.
sort of
Good. Yeah.
it's sort of I like to think of it as like a music that fills genres. It's got a heavy influence of country, but there's a little bit of the Americana / the Tom Petty kind of thing. It's like the heartland music. You could play it on an acoustic guitar as one person, or you could play it as a part of a 5-piece band.
That's awesome. You're literally the first other person that calls it like Heartland rock.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody else say that.
Well, I
And that's
stole
how I-
it out
that's
of
how I-
somebody's bio.
Oh, that's funny because I've been describing it like that forever. I didn't know. I stole it and didn't know it. Yeah, and so it's just so funny because that's what I've always called it, is Heartland rock or Heartland music, because they're from the Heartland. So that's very cool that you're incorporating all that.
Yeah.
And so you have your own project coming out like pretty soon or this
Well,
year?
I've had some music out for a while, and I just haven't really backed up enough releases. I've got a whole lot of stuff that's probably 95% finished, and I do actually have one single in particular that I'm really excited to get out. And I think, I sort of recorded in a batch.
Okay.
And I have released some music, 2 singles prior from that batch. So I think I might release this single and then just get the rest of it out. I guess people are calling it an album now because it's probably 7 tracks, but albums are a little longer.
Yeah.
From a lot of the bands that I
About
listen
6.
to. So
Yep. EP. LP,
yeah, EP, LP, that kind of thing.
EEP.
Yes. What it will be.
Extended. That's right. Extended.
Yeah. It will be a collection of songs
Excellent.
available on the digital platforms, preferably listened to on the compact disc.
Excellent. Sweet. Well, since you have all those 95% done songs,
Yeah.
I know some people that can help you finish
Hey.
them. There might be some people in this room that might be able to
Very
do that.
good.
Some songwriters all around you. Well, that's
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that, and yeah, get that done.
I'm
So-
gonna get that done.
Piper, what's your history? What's
So I very much did catch the music bug as a kid. My and it was a pretty well-rounded musical education. My grandfather was a bass player for a band in the 60s, a pop band in the 60s that did quite well, called Ray Brown and the Whispers. My dad was a nightclub DJ in the 80s, but he wasn't a DJ, it was a disco business, very specifically a disco business.
If you ask him.
If you ask my dad.
He admits that.
Yeah, no, honestly, if I had a time machine, I'd go back to watch my dad do the disco business because I think it would be hysterical. And my mum loved country music, and because as a child growing up, my dad traveled a lot for work, so I spent a lot of time with my mum and with my grandpa listening to Reba McEntire and Dolly Parton. So I loved that stuff, and I always really loved to sing, and it just I stumbled into it. I had a really good teacher when I was in the 1st grade, and I would sing around the classroom, and she'd notice, and she got my parents to make me audition for a school talent show, and I did. And then after it, nearly all of the teachers in that sort of 1st grade cohort approached my parents and were like, you need to get her singing lessons. She didn't suck. Because when you have a first grade child singing on a stage with a microphone, dressed up as Dolly Parton, doing Jolene, it may not be the best sounding thing in the world. And that's all right. It might be cute. I'm pretty sure it was cute. I hope it was cute. Thank God there was no blonde wig. It would have been a good blonde.
Was it recorded? Have you seen
Yeah,
footage of it?
Yeah,
I
because
reckon
there's
it was
evidence.
like a handheld cam recorder thing. But I got singing lessons, and I started writing songs when I hit 13. I was in my sort of first year and a half of high school, and I was trying to teach myself how to play guitar. And that was I was an only child, so I didn't have a sibling or anyone else that played guitar. So I sang a lot, and I was just I'd always voice my little melodies and play around with that kind of thing. And it all really hit when I turned 16. My hands got a bit bigger, thank God. So I taught myself how to play guitar, and within 4 weeks of learning a couple of songs, I got my first gig. And it just, I didn't stop from there. I was writing songs, and I'm a bit slow. I never really cottoned on to co-writing being a thing until about 2020, which is when I actually got into the industry. I did a thing in Australia called the Academy of Country Music, where you apply and they pick 20 people, and it's run by a bunch of acclaimed artists in Australia, and it's just the open arms welcome, okay, we'll help you. And it's great.
Nice.
So it gives you it gives you a bit of an industry education, which is great at the time. And then the moment that finished, COVID hit. So I spent the entirety of co-writing songs and writing songs on my own with all the friends that I met there. And I released my first single later in 2021, and I was very much an alt country project at that point. And it's very much I think I wrote I wrote through it all. And then I was like, no, I really like pop music. Because in my mind, I was like, no, don't go towards anything pop related or anything sort of like rock influenced, because that's just what everyone else is doing. And then like I met Jack about nearly 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I think it's been really nice learning how to give myself the space to write and just be like, no, it doesn't matter if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad, just write it. And I've been releasing music pretty consistently now for, would you say, 4 years? Yeah, for about 4 years. In the past year, it started to go pretty well. I was a finalist in a competition that Keith Urban actually won, which got him over here, called Toyota Star Maker. Yeah, that was really cool. A guy named Wade Forster won. He's I think he's doing like supports for Cody Johnson now, which is crazy. It's
that's wild.
yeah,
It's not too bad.
no,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
not
great.
too shabby.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not too shabby. And I've now like I kind of coined the because I don't like to like put myself into a genre, because then I tend to stress myself out, and I know that sounds so ditzy, but the moment I get into like an industry setting, people are like, what kind of music do you make? And I'm like, I don't know, my feelings. Like, I have red hair, I write songs, and please like me. Like, that's kind of how it's going at the moment.
I feel that.
Yeah. It's really fun, and I think at the heart of it, writing is still my favorite thing. And I love that, like, we've been here for nearly 2.5 weeks now, and we've been writing with some amazing writers that have been, a friend of ours put us in contact with, Scott included. We only met Scott on Sunday.
We did.
Nice.
We did.
And,
yes, very fun.
Yeah, I love being able to write with other people, because, like, you stress out about it beforehand, I find, and then you get into the room and you're like, wait, these are just people. It's fine. It's all right.
Just doing what we love.
Yeah.
Just doing what we love. Yes, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So as far as like the music world in Australia and the music world in America with Nashville, what are the big differences?
I think the differences, in population. Like, Australia is quite a bit smaller, and I think Australia very much follows after America in certain ways. My personal, like, the thing I love about music in Nashville, especially country music in Nashville, is that there's a pretty wide sort of multifaceted element about it. It's like, you don't just have to be a country artist. You can have a bit of pop in there. Everyone has their own flavour and it's embraced, whereas in Australia it is very much treated that way, but I think it's all because it's a smaller market, it's a little bit closer minded, would you say?
Yeah.
But it's fantastic, because like everyone, it's such a small world. Like, even here the population's bigger, but like everyone's super connected, and it's really nice because it's like, even in Canada, like Australia, the US, Canada, there's a lot of country music happening, and it's really cool because we all have festivals, we all have gigs, and there is always like an opportunity to connect and collaborate, which is the thing that I like about music in general. Like, I grew up an only child. I grew up in my mum's hair salon, because there was a hair salon in the house, so like that taught me to talk until the cows come home. Like, I don't shut up, and that has aided me really well, like in writing and in gigs, because it's like, it's what you do. And being collaborative in music, I really like, because I'm an only child. I grew up, I didn't have many friends, and then I've come into an industry like this, and I've made so many, just like not changing anything about myself, and just being like, I like to play guitar, I like to sing, do you like to do that too? And they're like, yeah, let's write a song. And it's fantastic. It's great. And I think it's like, I know some people can be pretty jaded about the industry itself, and like, I'm constantly trying to find new ways not to be like that, because there is so much good about it. And regardless of what's happening in the world, there are still people making music, there are still people creating, and regardless of where we are, it's still all really fun. That's why we're here. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and it's
That's
definitely
awesome.
it's definitely our passion and what we love to do. So, and one of the beautiful things about like our groups here is the collaborative spirit is what I really love about Nashville, and everybody coming together, pulling our resources together and our talents to make better music.
Yeah.
So, because I had a little quick interview today with somebody over the phone, and they were asking me about this whole thing in Nashville and what really makes it unique. And I said it's that collaborative experience that we have, and that we can. Because they said where do they asked me the typical question was like, what's the most important thing about being successful and what has made you successful? I said it's the people I work with. I said greatness only comes from surrounding yourself with great people. And I said, so that's exactly what I hope to do and what I'm already doing. And so together we'll rise and make better music. And so that's what's really beautiful, even all over the world. Like you said, we're collaborating all over the world. And that's a beautiful connection with the whole music industry and our love for music that we all have in common. So I don't know what other people's thoughts are. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really cool to be able to show up and be consistent about releasing music too. I think was just something that I'd heard you say that it was like, wow, that's something that I think a lot of people could really take to heart and run with more. And it's something that I think if you can be consistent, it's just another way for you to. There's a constant flow of different ideas that come and people that enter into your life and cool songs that you can write, but if they never get done and they never get out there into the world, then you're kind of hoarding your treasures. And so I think it's really cool to hear that you're getting a lot of music out there. And probably helped. It's probably helped out a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like consistently releasing music, it's not super easy. And like when you're trying to get a foothold in an industry as a relatively new artist, like you're not going to get because to be an artist releasing music, you're doing it because A, you enjoy it, B, you want to get gigs, and C, you want to get really, really cool gigs. And to do that, you need to have people listening to your music. Yeah. And like every single that I've released, because I haven't released like an EP or an album yet because I'm still working on that. Like I'm still writing a lot, and I think I'm just going to keep going. That'll probably happen at some time this year or super early next year. Jack and I have been working collaborative now because like I went from being with just like myself and one producer in a room, which is super common in Australia, to just being to live tracking with my band. Jack is my guitarist and my MD and also my partner, and we like basically chain gang. And
we mop the floors on Wednesdays, we clean the windows on Fridays.
Does he look afraid?
Good man.
By the way, this is the Valentine's Day episode of the show.
That's one of the things
this is our Valentine's Day date.
We feel honored. Thank you for joining us.
We're all going to the Waffle House after this.
Go on your special Valentine's date. Yes.
Yeah. We're all going. And I think like releasing music consistently, like when I say consistently, I released one song in 2021, I think 3 in 2022. I don't know, but I can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to embarrass myself because I should know my own catalog. But it's not that many songs, but each song like visually and sonically has been a little bit different. And like when I'd written these songs between the ages of like 20 and 22, like it's bound to be. I'm writing about my own experiences. I'm still growing up, for goodness sake. Yeah. And that has been the fun of it because now I feel like I'm really getting the foothold into like what I want to sound like as an artist.
Hell yeah.
And how I want to present. So like releasing a bunch of music consistently like pushed me to get there, and collaborating with a bunch of people like really pushed me to get there and pushed me to like here, which is like for most Australian artists, the goal is to come over to Nashville and write some songs or record or play some gigs that we don't get financially remunerated for because that is a violation of our visa.
That is correct. You are here for free.
We are.
We are here for free.
But you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're here and you're doing it.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn cool.
It's so cool.
I think sometimes it's like, the few things that I've done in the music industry, sometimes it can be, I think we're our own worst critics in a way, and we realize, like, I mean, you're, like, already doing stuff that people in your country, it's like bucket list kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That they would want to, like, make a special trip out here to do these kinds of things. So I hope it's, like, sinking in to both of you, and you're enjoying the experience and
we are.
living it to the fullest.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we went to Buc-ee's, so we're doing
Regardless of what happens, afterwards, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like you've
Well,
already
all
won.
the
The song we
all
wrote
the
was great, but we
playing.
went to Bucky's.
And you're gonna go to Waffle House too. Like,
Yeah.
Understands.
It
Gotta
just
have
gets better.
priorities.
It gets
Yeah.
better and better.
It is. I think that one of the cool things, just on the note of like, when you're busy in the hustle of making things happen, which I think anybody in any facet of the music industry is, I love the really weird times when it actually hits you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'd be like cleaning your teeth, and it's the first time that you've played a festival, and you're like, I just played to 5,000 people yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this toothpaste still right? Like,
Why do they put them in the toothpaste?
That's funny. That's funny.
Like because we go to festivals in Australia quite a lot, like specifically country ones, and like we'll get into bed of a night, and like Jack will have played like guitar for somebody, or I will have just played like there's a big festival in Tamworth. Last year, like I got up and did the Toyota Star Maker thing that Keith won like years ago, and it was 8,000 people, and I had never like done that before. I remember walking out and like telling myself, "Oh, you know how to do it," and then walking off and getting into bed that night, just being like, "What?" I
That
just
just
dressed.
happened, huh?
I was like, I just dressed up like a Christmas ornament and did that, and it's fine.
Do you ever black out on stage where you get up there and then when you get off you don't remember anything
Yeah.
because you're so in the moment and
Yeah.
so like especially in front of an audience
That's
like
the
that
best.
it's like
That's the best thing though. I think like like we all practice till we know things, like we don't know how to play them wrong,
Yeah.
and then we get out and like it's a real labor of love because most of the time you've written the songs, you've gone through the thing that it has taken to write the songs, and then you get out and you play it, and like you've blacked out in a good way, hopefully. Like,
just to
hopefully-
be clear, we're not
hopefully
talking
you
about the
remember-
drunk blackout. We're
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
the
Yeah, like
Not Waffle House waitress kind of situation.
I don't know if
I love that
anyone's had
waitress.
this kind of blackout before, but I remember like being quite young. I think I might have been 15, maybe 16, and an opportunity came up to play guitar for a friend who had a little 15-minute slot on the changeover stage at one of the bigger country music festivals in Queensland where we're from, called the Gimpy
Caitlin?
Master. Yeah.
Yeah.
A girl called Caitlin Shadbolt, and we'd been mates for ages and pretty much had the time to play about 4 songs in reality. And I hadn't done that kind of thing before, and we were also playing acoustic in front of this pretty big audience. I'm like, how is this gonna go? Anyway, the song Heaven, Heartache and the Power of Love was really popular at this time, and we'd made the bold decision as some 16-year-olds that we were going to do it, and it was great. We played it at some other gigs. We were pretty happy with how it was going. And you're at a festival, songs are popular, there's this 9-piece all-star band, like absolute incredible band, every instrument you would need to complete that song so well. They finish their set with it. We start straight away. But that was the last song we were going to play in our set. So I had 3 other songs to sit there and make a 15-minute set feel like 4 hours on Broadway. Thinking, how do I make this here basic acoustic guitar do something to replicate that?
Holy
And
cow.
then every time you play, like, you know, you go, oh, wow, that's definitely the best gig I've played. Or maybe to date, I feel like that's the best. You've been on stage for 90 minutes. It feels like 35 seconds.
Goes fast.
And you're just hoping to have
really
flashbacks.
yeah, good ones.
Good flashbacks, exactly.
So always have a backup cover song is what we're.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Always have
That's
something.
good.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
good.
yeah. That's like karaoke. You can't like go up and sing the same song that somebody sang like even 3 or 4 songs
Right.
ago. Like,
You
have
can't
to-
sing before he cheats.
can't.
So
Straight up to someone.
I want to know what the response was. So if you followed with the same song, how did people react?
No, you did.
They were
play
lovely.
it?
We
Yeah.
played it.
Oh, you did
Oh,
play
you
it.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah,
That's
we-
bold.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
I'm saying that's a bold.
Set
that's
lists
bold.
were printed.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
This has to happen.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh! Yeah, how did it go?
it's like, I should say, it's like maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, pretty early in the day.
Yeah.
The people on the hill were lovely. It went over all right. But I walked off stage going,
You know there were probably some people in the crowd that thought your version was way better.
maybe?
Surely.
Yeah, and I mean, unique. You start throwing those words in there. And,
Alternative?
yeah. Oh, and alt country was going through the roof at that time too. So.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You and your cold
Very
against the
alternative.
world.
Super alternative. That's awesome.
You just do the best you can in those kind of situations, right? That's life
That's all
deals
you
you the
can do.
cards. You just got to play them sometimes.
Optimism proceeds.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Get up there and do it. That's all you can do. That's for sure.
Talking about like doing your thing, Mariana. What have you been up to lately?
Yeah, so I'm a producer, artist, songwriter, and most of my day to day is doing production, mixing, mastering, any kind of audio work I can get, background vocals, and then I'm also a songwriter. I'm not writing like every day like some people in town who are doing 1-2 writes a day because a lot of my time is spent on the production side. But it's a lot of producing for some people in town, some people out of town, some stuff for my artist project, and that's what I would say is my strongest suit is hearing arrangement, melody, instruments, the different layers that go into a song is my strong suit. So that's kind of where
I'm really great at getting like a super high polished organic acoustic sound.
Thank you.
It's
I need
really
that. I
your
need
arrangements
lessons.
are great. Your arrangements are great, and
Thank you so much.
You spent some time in Delaware over the holidays.
I did.
And, what was that all about?
That was great. Honestly, it was just an opportunity to lock myself in the Delaware studio and really like just work on stuff for my artist project that I wanted to get out for 2025 that I'm gonna start putting out in March. One of the songs, a song that John and I wrote together.
Oh, cool! You're gonna release it?
Yeah. Before the summer. Hey, that's
it's
a summer.
A good song.
It's a song for the summer.
Yeah,
so I definitely got it. It's
Waste
called
of Time.
It's called Waste of Time. So
Cool.
yeah, looking forward
Perfect
to that.
summer song.
Yeah. So that's one I'm excited for. I know John's excited for,
that's
and
awesome.
I want to hear that tonight.
I haven't rehearsed it. I don't know. We might need some more. We need a little more time on that one.
But you're from Delaware, right?
I was born in Philadelphia, raised in Delaware.
That's right. Yeah, you're an Eagles fan.
I'm not like a hardcore, I'm
but
not like a ride or die.
Celebrating. Like, it seemed like you were celebrating a little bit.
I mean, listen, I grew up, in a house with Eagles fans. Like, I'm not the biggest, I don't watch all the games and everything. Like, I'm not a ride or die. But, if they're in the playoffs, if they're doing well, then I'll hop in there and, I'll go out and support. But yeah.
If they're in the Super Bowl and they're
Super
winning
Bowl,
the Super Bowl,
we'll take it. Yeah.
They won, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. Last year.
did.
Which I didn't even know they were allowed to win. I didn't even think they were allowed to win the
Right,
Super Bowl.
yeah.
Apparently they were.
I thought it was all bought.
Well, John, you boycotted it, right?
I did watch part of it. I have to admit, I did watch part of it because I was just so the drama of it seemed interesting, and also I was kind of bored. Like,
you're like, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah, there's that.
I gave up video games this year, and so I think it kind of opens up. I don't know. I was kind of bored that day, so I was like, I guess I'll turn it on.
There you go.
It's good. It was entertaining. I'm curious, like Australia. What's your opinion of like American football? Like, you have rugby over there, right?
And we have
rugby and
AFL.
Okay, what's that?
It's like soccer of the sky with.
Soccer of the sky.
Like on a
What's that mean?
plane.
Yeah,
Like,
so,
please
like-
explain.
Okay, so if you imagine, is everybody familiar with like how basic rugby kind of works?
I'll try to do my best to describe it. The football is like live, like kind of constantly until somebody like tackles somebody for good or something, and then they're like flipping it all over the place and they're scrumming for it, and then they're
no one's wearing protective gear.
No protective gear, but it's pretty directional and like somewhat slow paced. So one team in rugby will often have the ball for I don't know, maybe at least 3 minutes in the game, like in a time, so not one person. They'll be passing the ball between each other,
it,
traveling in their direction of goal. But just with the way that the game works and the way that the penalties work, it sort of works out to be about that. And if you've got two teams that are playing, pretty fair and square, it will seem to move that way. And then there'll be a moment where, one team will kind of emerge.
Yeah, because sometimes I see it and it just looks like a pile of people wrestling each other.
Yeah.
And then the ball like flies out of the pile, and then somebody grabs it and then runs and kind of scores a touchdown.
Whereas
That's kind of what it feels like.
AFL kind of the possession moves about the same as soccer, except obviously with soccer or football, wherever you're from, the ball is pretty much on the ground or, moving to get back to the ground. AFL, the ball doesn't really go on the ground at all.
Is it like a ball, like a dodgeball or something like that, or is it like shaped like a football?
It's shaped like a football.
So it's like you're running around with it and you're throwing it, and you can throw it in different directions, and you can. That seems more like football, like American football.
Yeah, so it's like
So
it's
no
pretty
tackling,
fast
really?
paced. Not really.
Yeah.
The main kind of tackle that will happen in AFL will be like someone's marking another player from the other team, and then they both jump to catch the ball, and something's gonna happen there.
Did you call it soccer of the sky?
Yeah, soccer of the sky.
I was like, did they start doing like Quidditch? Did they come up with
Yeah,
technology to start like
Quidditch.
flying on a
Broomsticks,
broom?
yeah.
I'd
Quidditch.
understand it more.
Well, it's kind of like
Quidditch
it
fan.
changes possession pretty fast, and even if like a one team gets a free kick or something out from a point, that doesn't really mean too much as to say that the possession's going one way. It might, that obviously comes down to the team and the players, but it can change really quick. So yeah, that takes up a lot of like Australian football time, AFL.
There's like cricket. There's like cricket, right?
Cricket big
People-
over there?
Yeah, cricket's big.
Cricket. What are the other ones? Soccer. I mean, the soccer leagues, right?
Yeah.
But you call that football, is that correct?
We
No,
call it
soccer is
soccer.
Soccer? Okay.
It's funny. Australia's pretty multicultural, or like culturally diverse with the people that live in the country. So anybody who is like a European immigrant and is into soccer will probably call it football.
Yeah. That's right.
So that's kind of one of those little things.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any tennis fans in the house, but you guys just hosted the Australian Open.
We
We
did.
were in
Oh,
Melbourne.
isn't that one of the majors?
That's one of the
That's one of the
majors.
major ones. Yeah.
We were in Melbourne during that, and we didn't even go to the tennis. We were there for a wedding.
Yeah. No, it is. Tennis is
That's
actually pretty big.
too. You guys have some
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
players.
And then we have beach sports, which is huge in Australia.
Oh yeah.
Beach
What, like volleyball?
sports?
Volleyball, and we have like a lot of sort of like triathlons and
Triathlon.
stuff like
That's
that.
pretty universal.
And then
Yeah.
Pretty universal.
we
for
have
instance.
like sort of falls under the category of what they call like Ironman, and it's all kind of based loosely off that.
Yeah, we have obviously that same thing here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
did you?
Ironman triathlons and all that. Yeah.
Cool.
But we don't have to like deal with jellyfish and stuff like that.
They're seasonal.
It's very seasonal.
We were talking about that before you got here.
They
Went
have-
off a whole thing about like huntsman spiders.
Yeah, they're like
and boxing kangaroos and like all
how-
that kind of stuff.
How deadly it is apparently to live in Australia.
It's fine. Like there are spiders everywhere. Like here, everywhere. You just leave it alone, or you squash it, or you cry and call Jack to deal with it.
There you go.
Which is my preferred method of solution. Method of solution. That's weird.
That kind of is what it is. Call it how it is.
Yeah.
Method of solution sounds like an '80s metal band.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. But like our seasonal jellyfish, blue bottles, they're blue. They look like a bottle and they have a tail that's really long. And when it stings you, it wraps around and just continues to sting you.
Oh, wow.
Those aren't the box jellies.
No.
The box jellies
No.
are the tiny ones, right?
Box jellyfish will kill you.
Yeah.
Don't they put out like nets in Australia where you have to swim in the net zone so that way like
Yeah. Like if you don't swim in between the flags at the beach, good luck.
Really?
No.
Jack was a lifeguard. Yeah, he should be talking about
in
this.
Australia, just like any country, there's different sections of the country based mainly on weather patterns and water temperatures and things like that, where seasonally you will get different sort of animals in those areas. So, like blue bottles, that's easy to avoid. You'll see them on the beach. They come in seasons with a particular type of weather. It lasts like 2 days. They go away. That happens maybe for like 2 months of the year. Or if you get a really big storm that brings them in, like way
So I'll
in.
get washed up.
We only have the like Irrigangia or box jellyfish. They're sort of in the warmer waters for maybe like 5 months of the year, and they really are only from about halfway up in Queensland, which is like quite a distance, sort of to the tip of Australia. You don't usually swim in a lot of those beaches anyway because there are crocodiles in the rivers. So that's just like you guys would have in the south with alligators. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There are certain areas that you can swim. Other than that, it's fair game.
Yeah.
And it's probably
It's
just like
pretty
going to
safe.
Texas.
Well, we're East Coast boys.
Yeah.
I'm from Maryland. And
That's right.
You're around the corner from me. And so we occasionally would get jellyfish from storms. We'd find them on the beach.
Yeah.
And so occasionally got stung. But it doesn't sound like nearly what you all go through with the intensity of your jellyfish.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Hannah?
I'm from Boston.
Boston?
From
Okay, so
Nashville.
you're East
Yeah.
Coast.
Okay, so
Yeah,
East Coast,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
That's a good segue.
I
Hi.
really like it.
Hi, Hannah. So, Boston, sweet. How long have you been in Nashville?
4.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Solid
Excellent.
amount of time. Yeah.
That sounds pretty solid, yeah. Indeed. So, now you're also a singer-songwriter and musician yourself. And we were talking a little bit earlier. You're also going to be putting out some music, yes?
Yes. Yeah. I'm releasing music for the first time in 5 years.
Congrats.
So
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's a big deal to me for sure. Yeah. 2 original songs that have been just I started working on several years ago and have just been on pause for a very long time. And last week I went up to Milwaukee, which is where the producer that I've been working with lives, and finished them, and I love them. I'm very excited.
That's awesome.
And how would you describe the songs? Like, what's the style? I know
Yeah.
sometimes it can be hard to describe.
It,
but what's your best?
I feel the same way. We're like, they're my feelings.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like, they're my feelings.
That is
What
such a
else
thing.
can I
And
say
they
about
just
them?
manifest.
Yes, exactly. One is very cute. It's called On Top of the World. It's a ukulele song. Gonna release that at the beginning of the summer for sure. Super
Awesome.
fun. The other is, I don't know what genre I would classify it under. I usually call myself pop, but I think it strays a little bit from that. I am a theater kid. I was in theater for years and years and years, and I pull from that training in my original music.
Nice.
So it's a very theatrical song that I wrote when I hit a rock bottom point several years ago, and it's that embodied in a song. It's one of the most powerful things I think I've ever written. It is one of 2 favorite songs I've ever written, and I think it's going to be a really powerful, impactful thing to put in the world.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So,
Excited for that.
and you have more to follow after that.
Not at the moment.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, you're putting something out. That's
Yeah.
that's what counts.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Taking one thing at a time
Yeah.
right now. That's how I'm living.
Well,
That's
excellent.
awesome.
Well, that's good. And
That's great.
how has your experience in Nashville been the past 4 years? What's your impression of all this madness?
It's been fine. So I've been in Nashville 4.5 years. I moved here during kind of the heart of COVID, which wasn't a great time to be here.
Yeah.
I did not intend to come here. I knew that I wanted to move to Flagstaff, Arizona in 2019. I knew that, and I knew that I would move in the summer of 2020. That was before quarantine and COVID happened, and I ended up deciding to move anyways. I said, I'm going to just do this. I didn't get to see my apartment or anything because everything was on lockdown. I couldn't fly out. So I got to Arizona. Turned out to be just kind of the worst time to move across the country away from family and just be so isolated. I ended up getting very sick, and I thought at the time that I was sick because of the environment in Arizona, because I hadn't been sick before I left. So I left after 3 months of living there.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Siri, you are not a guest.
Siri's not invited. Sorry.
Sorry.
That was
So
great.
sorry.
As you were saying.
There we go. I don't know what the heck that was.
So I left Flagstaff. My partner and I have moved to Flagstaff together. We went back to New England, and I knew I didn't really want to stay in New England. I knew I wanted to get out and see more of the world, and I had just come back from, before COVID hit, a 65-day tour around the country. And after seeing the country, I thought, there's no way I can stay in this tiny corner in the Northeast. I have to see more. my partner and I decided that we were going to go to different places for 1 to 3 months at a time. We had no idea where we wanted to settle. We started in Nashville so that I could be close to my producer. And then I struggled with a lot of health stuff. And I ended up having 5 surgeries over the course of a few years.
Oh, God.
Wow.
So I couldn't play instruments for a year. The first one was on my hand. I couldn't sing for a couple of years, few years. So I thought that I'd been through hard times before that, and this was just kind of a different kind of hard time because it was on a physical level. I struggled with mental health in the past, and this was just so different. This was just something completely different, and when I first couldn't play instruments, I thought, oh my God, this is the worst, and then I couldn't sing, and I realized that I didn't know bad until I couldn't do music.
Wow.
So that's why everything's been on hold for me. That's why everything's just been on this delay. I still struggle with some health issues, and I'm at a point where time has just kind of passed, and I've stayed stationary, and I can't do that anymore. And that's why I'm here. So Nashville, I have a strange relationship with it because it's been this place that I came to. I ended up just kind of feeling stuck because I had all these surgeries and these health issues, and now 4.5 years in, I'm just stepping into the music industry for the first time. So it's a weird place to be, is my answer to that question.
But I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you are
Absolutely.
doing it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's the thing, is just taking those steps and just doing it, because it can be scary. It can be intimidating walking into all this.
You know, I don't find it intimidating at all because I know it's where I'm meant to be, and I'm sure you guys all feel that same thing. Like you
It draws
just
you
have
here.
to follow it. Yeah,
It draws you
exactly.
here. Yeah.
That's why you meet so many people who know the same people, because we're all just drawn to the same energy in the same place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely something about Nashville. There's a strange energy here, and a beautiful energy. It's unique.
Yeah.
Because I had played in New York quite a bit back in the day, in the metal and rock days. Been out to LA and did stuff out there, but I didn't have the same sort of feeling that I had in Nashville. There's some sort of magic about it I couldn't quite explain that drew me back to it. Because when I was scouting LA to maybe move out there, because I was still in the rock world, I had a company that wanted to represent me, and I still moved here because I felt the pull that strongly. And I still had a company that said, you come to California, we'll represent you, we'll get you on the road. And I still turned it down and moved to Nashville because I'd been here. I'm like, man, I love this place. I love this town. This is cool. So we make our decisions, and we go with them and deal with it. But yes, you're correct. It's an interesting city, and what I really liked when I kind of met people was how sort of open they were. I just couldn't believe how open and approachable they were. New York, everything's locked up in towers, and you got to get permission to get in and meet somebody, and it's all business, and you got to when I was being looked at by a label up there, I met with head of A&R, and this is when I was young and pretty and had hair, but she liked what I was doing and wanted to meet with me, and so I had to go through security and then be escorted by security up to her office, and so she was very New York, like super New York, and we'd already met at an event, and she had asked me to come by, and so I barely sat down. She goes, all right, you got 3 minutes. And that's it. That's all she said. No, and I started talking. I have no idea what I said. It's like blacking out on stage. I just remember rambling, and then I stopped. And she started laughing. She goes, you're funny. I want to hear your music. I want to hear what you got. So nothing happened. But then I come to Nashville, and I'm thinking, I got to just get right into business. So I had my first meeting with an agent, and so as soon as I sat down, I thought, I got to start talking. And so I started talking, and he goes, whoa. What do you think of the University of Tennessee football team?
Southern pleasantries, everyone.
Yeah, and I was like, what? I mean, this is a huge agent, right? And so I thought, you got to come in, business, your plan, your portfolio, everything ready to go. And he goes, let me tell you something, son. And he goes, "This is a relationship town." He goes, he used to be a manager in the rock world. He used to manage Kiss. And he left the rock world. He got tired of it. So came back here, and he was representing major country acts. And he said, the difference between here and New York and all that stuff is that we're a relationship town. He goes, it's professional dating. And so you have to build relationships with people if you want to really work your way up. Yeah. And so he goes, you just need to slow it down. He goes, you were talking really fast. And I explained to him about the meeting. He goes, that's all fine and good. I get that's New York. He said, I used to do business there, so I get it. But we're not in New York anymore, Scott. And I was like, okay. He goes, so just take time, get to know people, build relationships, and you should do pretty good. But I'll never forget that lesson. I will never forget that lesson.
You thought you were on the timer.
Yeah, I did.
Like 3 minutes.
I assumed he was going to kick me out in 5 minutes. And like, you're done. And I was out, so I just started, doing my thing because that's all I knew. New York and LA was kind of like that too. They were just like, get to it. And so I'd never experienced that. I just sat there like dumbfounded, like what just happened? So I had to like slow it down, take my time, get to know people, learn the etiquette. But at the same time, I was meeting with an agent. It was impossible to do that in like LA and New York. Like I just met a guy. Like, hey, can we meet? Yeah, come on to my office. And it's not really that way anymore. It's much more difficult. I'll be honest with you. It's becoming a little more like LA and New York as far as them closing off because we now have so many people here and they can't possibly see everybody. So I can understand where they're coming from. But that was really what kept me here was that sort of openness. And the ability to you can go right up to industry people and they'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, wow, this is really weird. And just people will share things, and that's the thing. And that's what I really loved about Nashville and decided over LA to come here and take a shot. And of course, as a rocker, it was pretty difficult, I'll be honest, because there wasn't a lot of room for other artists and music outside of country at one point, but now it's opened up. The world has opened up for us. So now it's a beautiful time. It doesn't matter what genre. It's literally the music capital of the world now as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. So, but Jericho, we haven't talked to you yet. You've been here a minute.
I've been here a long time.
Because you were born here, right?
Well, basically, but not really.
Okay.
My dad was in the Army. We moved 11 times where I was 11. But a few weeks before I turned 11, we moved to Franklin. So it's the only home I've ever known. And then I've lived in Nashville since I was 17. We live a little outside the city now, but we're going to move back because I do not like commuting. I've learned.
That's good. Good to know that. So yeah, as far as your experience here, you find that correct? You in Nashville, and the people are supportive and.
Yeah, I've never heard it referred to as professional dating, but wow, that is spot on. That's exactly
that's what he told me.
That's exactly what it is. And thank goodness you were with someone who had spoken that language. I mean, if you were with someone else, it would have been you'd have never heard from them again.
No, I would have never been invited back.
Yeah. It's definitely got to be a culture shock. I'm thankful to have kind of grown up in it, so I understand. But like our friend Shannon, who was here last week, she's originally from Australia. She lived in California for a long time since she was a teenager. Now she just moved here, and I feel like every day I'm like, okay, not this, trying to explain the Southern culture, and she's like, what does that even make any sense? I'm like, I don't know, like I didn't make it, it's interesting, but yeah, I love this town. It is a really wonderful, supportive place. The collaborative thing that we were talking about is great. It's amazing. There's so many greats who are willing to pour into you and spend time with you and help you along the way and ask nothing in return.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very unique thing that Nashville has.
Yeah.
And
very, very much so.
So you found that in the short visit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have some friends from Australia that have been living here for well over 20 years now. And Flanders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Mike.
when we came over to Nashville for CMA Fest in June, we met these lovely people and talking to them about music and about wanting to come back and write. And he just said, message me when you want to come back and write. I'll sort out some co-writes for you. And I was like, oh my God, that's huge.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Everywhere else, like, we can't help you.
No, but it is. Everywhere else feels so transactional, and I think, like, growing up in a family where my dad was pretty old school with the way that he did business, it was always about relationships. And, like, being good to people, they'll be good back to you, but that's not why you're good to people. It's just, it's important not to be, I can't say the word. And
sounds like, no, never mind.
That Australian slipping through.
Sorry. Cussing isn't really cussing in Australia. It's just descriptive language.
Yes, that's correct.
And
We cussed last podcast.
Yeah,
so
I don't give a
there's
fuck
no
if people
rules
cuss on
here.
this.
Yeah, I called someone an
I don't
asshole.
care.
It's fine.
That's true, you did cuss. I forgot about that.
It's fine. This is an adult podcast. It's not for kids. The box that it said, like, is this podcast for kids? I did not click on that box. So we're fine.
Oh,
Pass away.
God.
You can say whatever you
Okay,
want. Like,
so, like, you're not going to be an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, right? So better to be nice for the sake of just being nice and building relationships, right? And I got in contact with them, and they were like, let me sort you out some rights. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. This is huge. And then the people that he'd, like, hooked me up to write with were, like, quite a big deal.
Scott Barrier.
Scott Barrier.
Oh.
And, like, I'm sitting there in the car, it's going, oh my God, this guy doesn't know me from a bar of soap. He played on it on my, like, most recent track, but he's just happy to help and doesn't want anything in return. But if he asked for anything in return, he'd absolutely, like, that sounded so wrong.
If we were giving
We know
babies
what
away,
you
he
mean.
could have one.
Yeah. And
must
it's
have been
just,
some good rights.
No, but they really were, because you met people and they also wanted to, like, maintain a relationship with you.
Awesome.
And, like, being a smaller artist, no one knows who you are. Like, you're not bringing anything to the table. You're from Australia. Like, it's a thing. And to be, like, welcomed with open arms and not being like, oh my God, you're a foreigner, leave, is really nice. It's great. I appreciate it. Because going into these rights, I was pretty nervous. And, like, I had ideas, but, like, what if they weren't good? What if they didn't fly? What if the whole concept of, like, what I've been working with and, like, how I've been rebranding an artist isn't actually that cool and it's just stupid? Like, that would be a pretty weird drive back to the hotel.
We'd never tell you that in the South, though. We would never tell you.
Oh,
That
no.
was weird.
Nope, you
Yeah.
wouldn't.
You'd
You
never
guys
know.
must have got that from the British.
We did.
Like, I
We
just
got that from
know.
the British. You are correct.
If I
We
know
did.
if I hear the phrase, like, bless your heart.
Yeah, you got that down.
Yes. You learn quick. Wow, you learn really fast.
I've been coming to the States since I was 11.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
A Welsh family friend and her very southern gentleman husband.
Southern gentleman husband.
Yes.
Yes.
I learned.
Excellent.
Sorry, honey.
No, I was gonna say, being that there are people in the room who work in all sorts of genres, something that I've noticed, I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the biggest country music artists in Australia from a pretty young age. I work in the audio industry as well.
Nice.
And
Jack's
something.
amazing. He doesn't credit himself.
No, you just have a gig and you do your thing. It's nice. But something that I've noticed only, or specifically in the country genre for the longest time, doesn't really matter what part of that genre the people are from. They seem to have this focus on, like they're giving back generationally. I've had people. I've been doing monitors for an artist, and that person will just stop sound check. You might have a finite amount of time, and just because they wanted to, just out of their own brain thinking, they'll go, oh, he plays guitar, let's just talk about guitar for a second. Not like there isn't, a million other people, kind of working on this moment. But being that Nashville, like you were saying, for a while, or for quite a long while, was the country music town.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's opened up into all of these other genres.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, do you think that has rubbed off, on the town so much, and now that these other genres have come here, it's opening up in a similar fashion?
It is, because now we have hip-hop driven country.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
have, and it's been in phases through the years. A lot of rock artists have come over,
Yes.
and then their influence gets infused into the country music. So you hear some rock, or Southern rock was an influence on certain artists within the country world. And so more than ever, we've adopted those, which I love, that you have like pop country, and you have a little hip hop country, and you have Americana country, a folk country.
Yeah.
And so and there are artists out there that are signed with these different styles and actually having careers at it and being very successful. So I love that that influence has opened up country music. Other people are traditionalists and they're like, I just wanted to be the old ways, which is great. I love traditional too. And I, so as a writer, I love to write it all because it's fun for me. It's fascinating for me. And it's intriguing to be able to write, old school country music and then write something hip hop driven with a track that's country or rock or whatever. And that's been the big change, having been here over 20 years. It's like you couldn't dare even try to bring anything like that into a writing situation or whatever, or else you're gone, and so because we're traditional hardcore country. So it's beautiful that it's changed, and there are a lot of avenues more than ever for different styles of country artists to make it, which I really love. And that's, as a writer, and so for those who are here to write like myself, it's really nice to have all those avenues to write to. It's fun.
Yeah. And you've got the sync stuff too.
Yeah, and sync has gotten a foothold here. I don't know who I was mentioning it to earlier, but when I got done being on like a touring musician, and I worked in the industry, like some of the artists that I represented had written with other major writers and artists from the major labels, so I had to do contracts and I had to do everything. And some of those songs I really thought were perfect for sync, and this was like a decade ago for me. And so I approached the labels, since I knew them, and we dealt with each other all the time. And I finally started just fielding, going, maybe we can get all of us through our collaborative writers, because I was just a rep for a label and a publishing company. I said, maybe our artist writers, since they're writing some of the stuff that's not necessarily country and I think it'd be good for sync, maybe we should start pitching this for sync. And the label, and these are major label A&R people that said, there's not enough money in it. We're not interested. And I thought, you will be, because I saw
now
it coming.
Yeah.
They're so interested.
And the reason that I knew that, and I was surprised, is that I knew major players in town who were trying to get the sync people from LA to start coming to Nashville to collaborate with their people. And it was happening kind of under the radar, but I knew about it. So I was totally shocked, and I'm talking like the head of A&R at one of these majors going, nah, we don't have a sync division. I'm like, you don't have a sync division?
Well, sync wasn't cool for
No.
the longest time.
Yeah.
It was like, it's jingles,
Yeah.
it's like selling out.
And
it's
you don't
like
make enough money.
Yeah, the perception was there wasn't any money in it.
Yeah.
And,
Yep. I was literally told that over the phone or to my face by these major A&R people and label heads, and they're like, no, it's just not enough money in it. We don't even have a wing.
Then you see your Spotify statement and you see 0.000, and like there's 3 zeros before there's an actual number, and you're like,
oh, that's a whole nother beast right there.
Yeah, you want to open up that can of worms.
But so what happened was there were some players that got people interested in, some decision makers that got the folks in LA to start coming here for the past 10 to 15 years quietly, and so they jumped and got ahead of the majors. The biggest one was Big Yellow Dog. They started a sync division years ago and became the #1 sync company in Nashville. And then the majors started to go, what's going on over there? What's happening? And then you had like Resonate get created. Resonate they're very successful. They bring in a lot of money. They are just sync and they're based here.
Yeah.
And so they started opening up shop. And the major labels are like these behemoths that they're like turning an aircraft carrier to get them to
adopt it,
to change their environment. Yeah. It's so slow. And because you got board of directors and you got all these decision makers, but the smaller ones were fast.
Yeah.
And so suddenly you've got Big Yellow Dog bringing in over $1 million in sync fees a year. And then the country labels are like, what's happening? And then you had Resonate doing well and these other companies that just showed up.
Yeah.
Because now they had relationships with LA. The majors didn't, which is really funny. And so now everybody has a sync division. Everybody. Every major label has it now, so they've caught up. So it's a great time to be in Nashville for anything, because they're looking for everything now. Yeah. And so as far as that goes, artists.
Also, I did want to add one thing, that it's been very interesting the last few years. There's been more and more opportunity for country music in sync.
Yes,
probably more than at any point in history, and I can't see that trend reversing, just because country music becomes more and more popular as a genre just overall. So I don't think that that's really going to change anytime soon. And I think just by the success of all these shows, these Yellowstone type shows, they're just going to keep making more of them.
They will,
and there will be more opportunities for country music in sync. But I just think it's one of those things that's going to be cool to see, that there's going to be more opportunity for country artists around the world to take advantage of that.
It's filtering through everything. Like in Australia, like country was always popular, but now it's just gone like insane. Like Western fashion, like Yellowstone country music, like 90s country is having like a huge resurgence at the moment with like Zach Top is helping that massively.
I love Zach Top.
Oh my gosh.
In this house, we respect the hell out of it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Like, when you can sing and play guitar like that,
he's amazing.
take my money.
Yeah, he's great.
I have a question about Australia. Like, Australian history. So, U.S. history was one of my... the Wild West was, like, one of my favorite historical periods of all time.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was wondering if, like, in Australia, there was a period of time where people were, like, on horseback and exploring the country, and or was it more like just a different time period when that was happening? Was there ever like a kind of like a Wild West kind of thing that happened in Australia?
Yeah, well, it was pretty consistent for a couple of years, because Australia is basically a country of people descended from convicts that England didn't want to deal with.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
So when we were founded, it was very much like that, and then there was like a massive gold rush. So it was like, and
sounds like the States. We had the same deal.
Yeah, it sounds like the same deal.
Yeah, there was like a whole thing, and then we're all just like former criminals, like steal a loaf of bread, go to Australia. Like,
now, was this during like horseback, or were there cars back then?
Oh no, this was all like horseback. Like Australia was founded in like 17 something.
Oh yeah, so that must have been like around that.
Probably
technology.
Yeah,
it was like carriages and horses.
Oh yeah.
Shit, like that's crazy.
Actually,
women were still wearing giant dresses, like it was a thing.
There's an amazing Netflix series. It only lasted. I think they've only done one season so far. The name's vanishing me, but I'm going to find it just so you guys can watch it.
I would watch it. Is it about Australia?
Yeah, and it's actually amazing because I wasn't sure if like Australian history would get that particular kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the way they did it, it was actually very well done. There's other shows that focus on Australian history much later into the piece, but this is actually pretty good.
That's fascinating.
Because this is a bit more serious. The other ones are a little bit comedic.
Yeah.
So you could write an old-timey country song and have it be like a story about like something that actually happened in Australia.
But, like,
that's
there's
huge
still like
there's
like a whole genre like called bush ballads in Australia.
Oh, that's cool.
Where
that's really
it's an older demographic, but it's like a whole thing. Like, because Australia definitely had like the horseback thing and all that, but like I think our history now, like, it does focus on that, but in past it was very comedic. Like, I mean, we had a prime minister that got lost at sea, and then we named a swimming pool after him.
Swimming pool.
What do you mean a swimming pool? Just
Harold Holt disappeared at the beach one day, and we got a commemorative swimming pool for Harold.
Not a bridge, not a
swimming pool,
not a government building.
I mean, is it a big one? Like, or is it just
just a regular community.
Okay. That's what they thought of him.
Yeah,
and then,
not too highly.
And then we have
rolling in his grave,
just on the Harold Holt,
swimming in his grave.
Yes.
I was gonna say that's the irony. It's like it's water-based memorial. Like, wow. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
It probably sounded like a good idea at the time.
No, we probably just thought he'd find it funny. Like, he probably just had a couple of drinks at the pub, and was like, "Yeah, I'll go for a swim," and got lost.
Oh, no.
Jellyfish got him, probably.
Yeah. If you ever catch an Australian saying, "Oh, he's gone and done the Harold Holt,"
Oh, that's a thing.
oh yeah,
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 Wow.
definitely.
he would have wanted it to be a joke. It's the Australian way.
Beautiful. But
I was gonna ask like who are the like historical figures. I already guess
we
I
don't
have
even
the
know.
answer to
It's
that one.
sad. We're so American.
Um,
we don't even know.
We don't know
I mean-
like there's Wild Bill and all. I don't know. There's all these like
There's a
Annie
couple.
Oakley. There's all these like.
Like
From us,
Steve
yeah.
Irwin, obviously.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
love him.
Oh, yeah,
all
like,
Americans love him.
We
Yes.
still think it's like too soon to address his.
He's
Oh,
not
so
exactly.
sad.
He's not a historical figure.
Stop
though.
it! He is.
No,
Yes,
he's more.
he
You know
is.
he's not, but I love that you
He
brought him up.
is.
He's talking.
Oh,
He's
like
not
way
like
back.
Wild
Like
West kind of.
yeah, probably
Captain
like
Cook.
Ned Kelly.
Yeah.
Ned Kelly. He was the kind of guy that he just went around robbing banks, and he was just kind of Robin Hooding it all.
Just Robin Banks.
Robbing
Yeah.
banks, but he was like, he wasn't really even killing anyone. Like he was being super ethical about it. Like I probably wouldn't call it ethical, but
Just
like back,
name them.
Well, like Robin
was
Hood
robbing
kinda
a bank.
ethics, you know?
yeah,
Oh.
like
Well, Butch
And-
Cassidy was the same way. He never killed
Yeah.
anybody.
And then,
Did
like,
you know
we-
that? I thought he had killed a lot of
No, I
people.
didn't know.
Yeah.
That was their rule. They would never kill anybody.
yeah,
Interesting.
Yep. And
Yeah. They just wanted cash,
Yeah.
That's it.
and
Yeah.
who can blame them? We make music for crying out loud. We always
Right.
need cash.
Yeah.
And then like we have like we did do like a series like TV show called like Underbelly, or then there was like ones where we'd like basically go into all the nitty gritty of like our like crime. Like that was the historical TV shows for a while. Like we just
That's not really historic though. You're talking about
like I'm
the
talking
very
like
modern
back
times.
yeah. Look,
I
it's all
guess-
very modern. Like there isn't
Yeah.
super old timey stuff. There's like TV shows. Oh, not like there's like a movie called Australia. Like Nicole Kidman's in it. That's probably like Wild West vibed. I don't know.
Yeah, we never had like the way that the Wild West feels dressed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now like if you imagine like
Like we were watching American
Western
Wild West
clothing in
movies.
America, it's all very beautiful in the detail that goes into it. There's always like lines on boots
Sure.
and stuff
Not
like
these.
that. But Australia, I was like, usually there is. Australia in that early era, it had this similar kind of thing going on, except we only really had like 1.5 types of weather to deal with across the country. So everything that we could do in the summer, we could basically do in the winter.
Yeah.
So a lot of that just all sort of compiled into one thing. So we'd have people who would journey from one side of the country to the other side of the country, which would have to be 5,000 kilometers.
I was gonna say, how long
Yeah,
is
So
that?
like a
three
lot
and
of
a
that's
half thousand
desert,
miles.
right?
It's
Like a lot,
very
like the
desert.
western
Yeah.
part's like completely desolate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
well,
most
I don't
of
know
the
much
country.
about
So
Australia.
we're a very coastal dwelling country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And
'cause
then
the
we have
middle
this
isn't
like
where you
extra
wanna
little
be.
bit called Tasmania, which it's too long to build a bridge, so we've just claimed it. That you've got to fly there or travel by boat.
It's very nice though.
I'm
So
yeah.
I've heard.
That's it. But yeah, so very very like fringe dwelling kind of country. There are some bigger towns in the sort of like getting closer to the center, but they're towns. They're not cities.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a whole lot of country music based on a lot of that stuff, and
Yeah.
we have Indigenous Australians, and then obviously everybody who was essentially imported, Amazoned over to Australia from England, and there's a lot of like bush balladeer type poetry and country music and traditional Australian country music that's like based around that as well.
Yeah.
So cool. That's like a fabric that you can pull
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
in terms of inspiration and
Yeah, and
ways to
something
Yeah.
recontextualize it. And
people might not realize over here, I don't know, but just like American country music really has a particular sound, like we said, Alan Jackson, something like that. Australia has a huge array of Australian country music, which has definitely got similarities, and we've probably always kind of pulled a little from America, but there are definitely even like subgenres where it's still very much just Australian country music.
That's very
It's
cool.
really cool. Like I would say Troy Casadeli would be one of those.
Yeah,
Slim Dusty.
Casey Chambers,
Casey
even
Chambers.
bands like McAllister Kemp that were kind of
Yeah.
like pretty rockin' as far and actually Troy Kemp lives over here now. He's a fantastic artist and songwriter.
Lovely guy too.
Is he here in Nashville?
Yeah.
He's based in Nashville?
Yeah, he's based in Nashville. He's been over here for maybe 10 years now.
Yeah.
And he still travels back a bit, and they'll do some kind of resurgent
Lee
shows
Kernaghan.
and stuff. Yeah, Lee Kernaghan's very Australian. John Williamson.
Yeah.
And these are all very different sort of subgenres of Australian country music, but you kind of can't confuse it with anything else
It's
when you
all
hear it.
super distinct.
That's
Yeah.
that's very cool. That's super cool. Yeah, but I can imagine that in different countries you're going to have that. You're going to have things that are unique to the
Absolutely.
culture, unique to the history, and that's what's awesome about that. It's funny you'd say that Australia was a penal colony, and that's how it started. See, North Carolina was that colony was supposed to be just for prisoners from England as well. They were kicked out. Yeah. And I think Georgia as well. So they were actually just supposed to be where they sent all the criminals. They didn't want in Europe.
Yeah.
And so my family's from North Carolina. I'm not surprised. Given the history, we have some pretty well-known criminals in our family. Frankie and Johnny are supposed to be distant cousins of mine.
Wow.
And they were the not as well-known male-female duo that went around robbing banks. They weren't as famous as Bonnie and Clyde, but they were pretty darn up there. And when my grandmother told me that, I was like, wow, really, that's who we have in our family. Great. Family history. And so, but yeah, so same sort of thing. They're wonderful people, North Carolina, but they started out as a place where the undesirables were like forcibly sent and had to work off their punishment.
You didn't even need to do anything that bad to get there.
No, they didn't.
either.
They, like you said, stole a loaf of bread.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
going to-
that's
you're
what
going
happened to
to-
one of my ancestors. She stole a loaf of bread and was pregnant on the boat over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Simple
as
stuff.
a woman, like,
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Exile
Wow.
for stealing a loaf of bread
Yeah.
seems a little extreme.
Like, you're
That it
probably
wasn't
doing that
even
because you're
Zelda.
hungry.
Yeah.
you're doing it. You're hungry, you're pregnant, like,
And you're on a boat. Oh,
Oh, man.
morning sickness and
Probably
seasickness.
without the bread.
without the
Yeah.
bread.
And hungry. Yeah.
They didn't let her keep the bread at all.
I know.
It's rough.
And I think she was, like, from Scotland. So, like,
wow.
England adjacent or something.
Wow.
But they were like, yep, off to Australia.
Yeah.
This new place.
Well, that's-
Now here you are.
People already live here, but you'll join them.
yeah. Well, thanks to our past
Yeah.
criminal people in our family, here we are together
Right?
today.
Yeah.
Brought us
To
Which is
crime.
all right.
You said Wild
For the
Bill.
family.
Were you talking about, when you said Wild Bill, were you talking about Buffalo Bill Cody?
I think I was talking about Wild Bill
Hickok,
Hitchcock, right?
Hickok.
Oh,
It was
okay.
Wild Bill
Yeah.
Hickok.
I was thinking
Hitchcock.
like Wild Bill McCrowski off Deadliest Catch.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Does anyone need a drink? I'm gonna grab some more water.
I think I'll grab some real
Okay.
quick.
I'm all good, thank you.
You guys
Let's
okay?
do a water
Yeah,
top-up.
we'll keep talking about
I'm sorry.
stuff.
Oh, no,
and-
you're good. No.
Yeah, actually, can I give you that? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
But it is funny because you talk about like I'm part Cherokee.
Yep.
And so I'm half a transplant and half an original indigenous person in this country. And so I grew up with a very mixed family. So
Yep.
that intermarried everybody apparently. And so I not only am I Cherokee and European, but I have Mexican family. I've got a family from Saudi Arabia, Northern Africa.
Wow.
The only thing we need is somebody from Asia, and then we'll be complete as far as my family, because we're from everywhere. So it's serious melting pot. But my grandfather, as a young Cherokee, couldn't get work in North Carolina, so he ran moonshine. He was an actual
Wow.
moonshine runner.
We were talking about this.
we were talking
in
about
our
that,
right,
yeah. And so
Yeah, sure.
so that's why I was laughing when you said, your ancestors were like sent over as criminals. Well, I feel you. Like, through North Carolina. And so they were still doing it. Even 2 generations ago, they were still doing what they had to do to survive. And so running moonshine was how they survived. So, and he had a Ford Fairlanes with the giant trunks.
Mhm.
And I would ask him, because he still had some when I was a kid, and I was like, Granddaddy, why you got all these Fairlanes? He's like, never you mind, boy. Never mind. He's like this dark-skinned Cherokee guy. He's like, never you mind what that's for. And so, but the reason that they had 4 Fairlanes is because the trunks were bigger than
Yeah.
the other cars, so they could haul more moonshine over the state line into the dry state of Tennessee and then run for it back into North Carolina. They did it. They did it.
Man,
And
I have
so,
to.
Yeah.
Have you written that song yet?
Working. Yeah, actually, I just with a guy named Mark Lonsway, we wrote about it like 2 weeks ago. Just for the first time, because I don't write a lot about my history of my family. Because it's funny, you get into. Have you experienced this when you really got to write about yourself, you go blank?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the writing that I do,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and then Mark's like, "Why don't we write about you today?" And I was like, "I can't do that. That's too close." And I closed down. It's the weirdest thing. Like I can get into a room and contribute, but when it comes to like focusing on me, I'm like, I can't even think today.
It's
So
scary.
so Mark had to like pull it out of me. But when I was telling him the story, he was like, "We got to write about that."
Well, I'm sitting here
So-
going, man, you're not doing it. I'm going to give it a crack.
Yeah. Well,
I think
What are you
that's-
doing tomorrow?
taking my wife out for Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Sad.
She,
Yeah.
she let me off for tonight. Yeah. So, sorry, you were gonna say.
No, it's okay. I think that's the beauty of co-writing. I mean, I think we're allowed to talk about this for a few days away. Jacket, you know,
Yes.
our
Being released.
friend
Yeah.
J4 that we wrote with, he's releasing it. I'm doing the BGVs on it, and that'll be out next Friday, the 21st.
We're right on top of it.
And-
I know the release is coming. I know
Yeah.
we're right on top of it. So.
And that
Excuse me.
song was written because of a very similar thing. You know,
Yeah.
he came into the write. It was four of us. It was Shannon Bissoni, J4, Wanda's, you and me. And he sat down and was like, I broke up with my girlfriend last night. And we normally, you know, kind of, Shannon is, you know, she's Silicon Valley lady, so she likes to have a plan. You know, what are we writing about before we come in? This was just one of those odd writes where we didn't have a plan at all. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I, you know, broke up with my girlfriend last night, and you know, she gave me back this hoodie jacket that I have I realized that that's kind of been a string within my life that's kind of passed through the ex-girlfriends, and they've always given it back, and I think that's kind of a cool song idea, but I need your help writing that. I don't know how to write this, you know. And so we're all like, you know, we just went to
dictated.
town on it.
Yeah, he
and
just talked and we just typed, and that's what Mark did for me for
Yeah,
my story,
you
because he
need
was
that.
dictating. Yeah, he was putting it together while I was just talking. He
Yeah.
just had me talk, which is a great thing you can do in a writer's room. That's why I like to ask questions and try to pull those things out of people. Usually, I'm the one doing the interviewing and trying to get the story. I like to get them as real as possible. For me, that's how I like to write. If I can get to the real, I like to write the fluffy stuff and the made up stuff and the goofy stuff, the fun party songs. But I really like to get to the marrow, I call it, of the real stuff, because I think the more real it is for the writer artist, the more real it is for the audience, and that connection happens.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
And so for as painful as it was, Mark got it out of me, and we got it out. We got that other song out of J4, which people seem to really love because it's so honest
It's
and real. Yeah.
it's
J4's amazing.
He's so
so
talented. Yeah, he just signed a publishing deal with Blue Sky and
Lucky Sky.
Lucky Sky, sorry, Lucky Sky, and yeah, he's incredible. And yeah, it was an honor to write his story. And yeah, you recently pulled a song out of me that I wasn't even aware was a story that I needed to tell. You know, and it's. Yeah, and just like you are, I'm typically the, you know, person
Pulling. Yeah.
You know, Shannon said in our ride earlier today that I've made her cry like 6 times in the last.
We have made her cry.
Because I'm just she's she's kind of a new writer. She's been here for 8 months or so, and the way I was taught to write, I said this last podcast, but I happen to live like. When we moved here 3 doors down from a like #1 hit songwriter who was in a very popular 80s country band. They're still together and touring today. And Little Texas, the lead singer is Porter Howell. He was the lead guitarist of
I like Porter.
BGB's.
Porter's
great. Oh my gosh, I owe him my entire
I got a
career.
good Porter
Love you,
story.
Porter,
Yeah, that's
if
for
you're
another
listening. Yeah, he's great. But yeah, he just took me under his wing and taught me to songwrite. He got a recording studio in his basement that he taught me how to record. I mean, I owe him like my entire career. It's wonderful what he did for me. And he really drilled into me to write from a real place, because that's the difference. The audience can hear it. The listeners can hear it subconsciously or consciously. You can just tell. And those songs succeed, you know?
Yeah, really
it's a beautiful thing. And you were kind of brought up earlier about not getting jaded. I think that is a way to not get jaded. is, you write the, Friday in your driveway songs. Sometimes,
ones,
those are fun and people love those. But sometimes you got to write the jackets, you got to write about the real stuff. And another way to not, it's
grounding.
So important. Yeah. Another way to not get jaded is to, when new people come to town, to invest in them. And because y'all have, like, not that you're new, but you're new to us,
Oh yeah, we're new.
There's a sparkle, in your eyes, and a passion and a fire that can be kind of easy to lose sight of when you're pitching your songs all the time, and it's no, and it's like, oh, when am I going to get my next publishing deal? When am I going to get signed? All these things, and whatever your goals are, and when am I going to get that next big gig? And there's a lot of no's, there's a lot of
many.
Yeah, and so it's can be easy to get jaded. But writing for real place, writing with new and passionate people, like it's you got to keep yourself grounded in all those ways. It's hard to manage all that. There's a lot to balance in this industry.
I think
it's many hats.
Many hats.
And I think with how transactional this industry can be, I think especially now, because attention spans are shorter, people want more sooner. Like, you have to live through it, and you need to, like, I like to write songs to process, and sometimes I need to process in order to write songs.
Yes.
And coming here, I didn't know what songs I was going to write. I had ideas. I was like, is it going to be, like, emotional? Am I going to become, like, best friends with a person during a write? Because that's kind of my go-to. Like, I want to be friends. Like, I actually just want to be your friend. And, like, I wrote a ballad. Like, I needed to get it out of my system before going into these co-writes, because I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I remember, like, I bought a guitar, like, the third day we were here. Like, wasn't planning on it, but found this guitar. Had been what I'd wanted for ages. Bought it. And then, like, the day I took it home, Jack was doing our laundry because I was sat on the floor writing a song about moving interstate, which I did a year and a half ago, and how it felt no different. And I just still really missed my mum. And it was, like, so much to handle, because I love what I've gone to, but I feel like I've lost what's back there, even though I keep going home to it, and there's, like, that constant sort of reminder, and I needed to get it out of my system, and it's so important, and it's so grounding. It was like like the Control-Alt-Delete of my brain. Yeah.
There's songs you need to write in order to move on to the next, to clear the mental space and the heart space, and and to be able to show up in the way that you can really show up. And you need to show up, like you were talking about. You got to get deep quickly with people when you write, for it to have some kind of meaning and importance. And it's tough to do when you got, like, something in a way that's kind of on your back, and you kind of need to, like, set it down in a way.
You just need to have a cry and get it over with.
Songwriters, we put our journals on display. That's what we do for a living.
And
you get so
open,
intimate.
Yeah, you do, and you, like you said, that's a very good point. You have to be willing to open right up, jump right in, and go to those places you wouldn't, things you wouldn't normally share or whatever. And so, but we get it. We do it enough for, like, we get it. We'll leave it in the writer's room, like Vegas. What happens in the writer's room stays in the writer's room.
Right.
But that's where we have to go. We have to do that to get, like I said, to the marrow, to the real, to something that's going to mean something to somebody that hears the song. Because I think sometimes what we forget, because we're on this big chase for music, and the industry is all about money, and is that we forget that the audience, they need real. They're longing for real. They want to also check out and have the fun songs and go, be entertained and be taken away. But they're also just longing for something that's real, something that they can go, I relate to that. That was me. And they can put themselves in the song, and it allows them to go someplace emotionally where sometimes it's hard for them to get. But then there's that one moment of 3 minutes where they're allowed to do that, and we're providing that for them. And so, that's a major responsibility. And if we can't get there, they're not going to get there.
There's a funny thing about that. It's just like we can also get into a space where we don't feel like maybe this isn't the most important thing. This isn't the best song I ever wrote. Like, what am I even doing this for? For years, I was like, well, what was I even doing this for? I was out like playing the Santa Monica Promenade. I'd come home, I'd flip up my MacBook screen, play a song in there, put it up on my YouTube channel, things like that. It's like, what is it all for? And then you don't realize that no matter where you are in this process, whether you're a good writer, whether you're like a novice writer, no matter what it is, you have a unique perspective. You have things that are important. And if you don't share, well, if you share them, if you're lucky enough to let yourself share it with the world, what can happen is just this amazing thing where the people that need to hear it, they get to hear it, and they get to have that experience that, wow, I really relate to that. And I've had it come back to me in so many ways over the years where I feel like, oh, I don't know, what am I doing? And then you hear back from somebody that your song just kind of changed their life in one way or another. And there's different ways in which we can, whether we get like a lot of streams on our stuff, or we get a bunch of comments, or just somebody slides a note under your door in the place that you've lived for 2 years and you thought you were like making a bunch of noise, and turns out they really loved hearing what it was that you were playing quietly by yourself, like when you were writing these songs in your like studio apartment. And there's different ways that you get to have that shared human experience and help people to like face the things that you're facing at that time, and being able to show up for it the best you can. That's all we can ever do. But I think it's really important. It's really like, this is really important work that we're all doing here.
It is. And we forget that, there is the commercial end of it, and we're in the pursuit of the careers and the pursuit of success. But the highest order of writing are the songs that change lives, in my opinion. And one example, there was a young lady who died in a rollover of what are those things, those ATVs or whatever they're called. You think I know? I'm a country boy. You think I know that?
Quad bike.
You're right. Exactly. So, but she died at 14, 15, right in there. And I was asked to be part of a song to write for her. I was brought in because they needed music. So, and so they asked me to compose a piano piece, and we wrote the song. Really just for the family, because this artist had befriended the family, and he wanted to do something nice for them. That's really what that right was. And so her name was Grace, go figure. And so what they had done, what was interesting about this particular situation was that she, in her short life, had touched a lot of lives. Like, she was a super generous human being. She was super giving, never asked for anything back. So when essentially her obituary was put online, it went viral all over the world about this kid, because so many people started commenting on how she had touched their life in 14, 15 years, right? Trying not to get emotional, y'all. And so so people started writing to the family from all over the world saying, man, I read that article and it made me go do something nice today because I wanted to be like Grace.
Oh,
And so,
so
right?
Wow.
So, right? And so they decided to start the Be Like Grace Foundation, her family. And so it's in 50 countries. They have followers in 50 countries now. And so we wrote Like Grace. That was the song. We were trying to do a universal thing that happened to talk about Grace. And we finally said, you know what? Let's not make it commercial universal. Let's write it for Grace and just make it about her and how she touched lives. And so we wrote the song, recorded it, and the artist took it to the family. He surprised them because he made a plaque with the CD, and so I know there's still CDs, believe it or not, and the lyric sheet, a copy of the lyric sheet. So, and he called us. He's like, I'm really nervous. I don't know how they're gonna react. And so the other writer and I were like, just call us back when you're done. We want to know. So he sat with the family and played it, and everybody cried. And he goes, I didn't want to make y'all cry. They're like, no, this is healing us.
Oh my God,
This is healing us.
Yeah.
And so, the family said, this is exactly what we needed. So they ended up talking about Grace and laughing and talking for many hours with Jamie, was his name, as the artist. And so we get a call 2 weeks later. And they decided that it was going to be the theme song for the foundation, and they wanted to do a video and have Jamie and I come up and perform for the video because they lived in northern, like Illinois, Iowa, right up there. They were a tiny little small town, middle of nowhere. And so we went up there to their church, and we filmed in the church, and I played piano and sang back up, and Jamie stood right in the middle. And they had montages of Grace through the video. It was a really beautiful video. And so we were like, this is amazing. We didn't want anything. We want nothing. You know, we weren't asking you for anything. I mean, it's amazing. It's the theme song. Hopefully it'll help people. Hopefully the video will help people, so it air all over the world. And but what the most important part about this is that 3 weeks went by after the release of the video and the song. And Jamie called Marla and I, the other writer, and he goes, "You're not going to believe this. I kept getting this, you're not going to believe this." Like every few weeks, he goes, I heard from a woman just randomly whose middle name was Grace, who died. She was in an accident at 15. And the woman said, "I was going to kill myself." She said, right? She said, because I saw no reason to go on until I heard your song.
Oh, I have full body chills. Wow.
This is true. Music has the power to help people.
Yeah, she said, you literally saved my life. And she said, once I heard the song, she said, then I realized I had to stay alive to keep my daughter's name alive. Yeah. That is the highest order of writing. I'm not trying to tout or pat myself on the back. We didn't know what this song would do. We just did it for the family and this girl. We had no idea. And it saved a life.
Oh my God.
And you hope and pray that your music does that for people. Yeah. You really do.
I think that's having experiences like that. It's like if you can touch somebody in that kind of way, does anything else really matter?
No. Yeah.
Do you need to accomplish anything else in your music career?
Yep, you've done
you really don't.
And
in a way, then it kind of adds a levity. It kind of adds like an exciting, fun kind of aspect to it because it's like, well, it's like you can kind of only. It's like you've already done everything that you. Yeah. In a way, are on earth to do, which is to help people, to touch people with what it is that is really important to you, and show up to the best of your ability. And I think those kinds of things are part of what like makes music so special to me is like the ability to, no matter where you're at, to show up for whatever the assignment is and do your best. And so often these kinds of things can happen where like these kind of interesting, it's like, call it fate, call it whatever it is, but it just this magic kind of thing happens where the song becomes something so much more than you imagined it would be at that moment, and then all of a sudden it really just, I don't know, it's just one of those bucket list things that you can look back on the rest of your life and be super proud of and feel really good about.
Yeah, actually, I had a buddy who he asked me. He said, "Would you still make music if you could make it, but you couldn't share it with anyone?" And I was like, honestly, no. I wouldn't keep making music. Wow. For me, the whole purpose of music, I mean, a song is a story. Yeah. And a story is meant to be shared, and it's meant for connection and to bring people together. So I said, if I can't do that, then why would I make music? I would move to a different industry where I can have that impact or that potential impact to connect with someone and hopefully impact someone's life for the better, like your story. You know, if I had to make music and I couldn't share it, I wouldn't make music. So
it's communication. It's heart communication, I think, like at a very high level.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about music. It is multi-level, like you're talking about. It's spiritual. It's emotional.
So I'm getting so I don't even know if that's a word. Like philosophical. I'm drinking. Oh my gosh! I'm drinking the beer that has no label on it.
The mystery beer.
Yeah, whatever this is. Maybe I'm tripping on something. It's like, if I go like feeling the walls in like a couple minutes, can somebody please like turn the stream off?
I'll just put my hand in front of the camera.
Just asking, please.
It's like a Coors can that didn't make it to the end process.
I don't think so. And this thing, like people have grabbed it out of the fridge. Like last week, people dropped it on the floor. It looks like it's been dropped like 50 times. It's just like an IPA. Like I thought it actually kind of tastes like a hef. I don't know. It's like
that is funny. I can't believe you.
It's pretty chill.
You dared even try it.
The weird Barbie.
I don't know.
That's what we got to do. Crossing over to the mystery beer.
Yeah, the mystery. We go from like the deep, heartfelt thing where people are like
keep the beer can.
Yeah, the beer can. I think this is a good beer. Like it's not
good,
bad.
Everybody else is reaching around it like I'm not touching that.
I don't know. I figured somebody needed to take a stand and drink it like at some point. I'm like, why not?
Here, some. Yes, well taken.
I'm having a really good time. Thanks everybody for coming out.
Thank you guys for hosting.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I feel like this show, this is the kind of stuff we get to talk about on this show, is not just like the hey, what's your project, where are you from, but like really getting to the serious but beautiful, and we get to be a little philosophical about it, like why we're here, why we're writing, why we're here in Nashville, having the privilege to do it. And so,
privilege is the word.
I think that's the thing. It's a beautiful place to make music, and just cheers to anybody who's tuning in. We still have somebody. Maybe that's your hubby.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoever's there is still there.
Yeah.
Hi, Muffin.
How many do we
Cheers.
have?
We still have 2, so I'm watching it. So
if you have questions, let us know.
let us know if you have questions.
I want to.
Hi, Angie.
I want to circle back to something that Hannah, right? Hannah said, because it resonated with me, because I had a vocal injury and you went through an injury where you were, and I don't know how comfortable you feel speaking, so like no pressure, but I would be curious to hear more about your overcoming of this health injury that took you away from music, and then now you're coming back. Yeah, I would love to hear that, and I think that'd be helpful to maybe someone who's listening in who is going through some kind of struggle, some kind of difficulty, whether it's health related or not, and they want to get through it, and they're in the midst of that situation. You overcame that situation, or you're overcoming it, and now you're going to be releasing music again, and I want to hear more about that if you're open to sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, I would definitely say overcoming. I wouldn't say overcome. I've had highs and lows. It's been a lot of different areas of my life that happened to coincide at the same time. So 2 of the surgeries were related, the other 3 weren't. They were completely separate things. It was just kind of a lot of stuff hit. My voice, I didn't have a vocal injury for my vocal cords, thank freaking goodness. My voice is still there. But I ended up developing issues, muscular issues and issues in my lungs and with asthma. And so I just basically tightened up so deeply that I couldn't get my voice out. So I'm now in a place of, Nashville I have just a very weird relationship with, because I find it kind of hard to breathe here. And when I leave, I tend to feel better. I don't know, like the allergens in the air, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot of allergens. They don't transfer from California, I found.
We're in a bowl. Nashville's in a bowl, so we have the highest.
We
have one of the highest concentrations of pollen per square inch in the United States. Right here, right in this little basin, this little Cumberland River basin. That's why we have so many problems with
It'll fuck
allergies.
you up. Like, I ain't gonna lie.
All year I'm fighting that.
I had a sore throat when I first moved here, like in the spring.
Yep.
I had a sore throat for like a month straight, and I was like, do I have cancer? Like,
Oh my
I was like,
God.
what the fuck is going on? I've never
Yeah.
had a sore throat for this
deal, bro.
long.
Yeah.
And then it was so funny, the doctor,
It's a
she was
thing.
so sweet. She was like, honey, have you ever like had allergies before? She was like, you heard about like allergies? And she put me on like steroids, and and I tried, like, I took the full dose of steroids, and I felt like the Incredible Hulk for a day. It was pretty amazing. But yeah, I got on that, and then they just the regular like antihistamines and all that stuff, and it helped a lot. But it's tough. Like, breathing here is like
it's a challenge here.
It's a challenge. Yeah.
I am starting physical therapy next week. I ended up basically starting to get better, and then in September, for whatever reason, I started experiencing very severe vertigo, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of bed. The migraines have just been, just wild.
You have
I've been
migraine?
dealing with
Yeah, she has
daily
migraines.
I've been
I
adjusting
don't
my
know,
neck
they're
today because
so
I'm
good.
scrunching. Yeah,
Yep,
I feel
get
it every day.
It's rough. So it's just been, it's because of the migraines and the vertigo, I've like retightened. That's just my kind of subconscious response. In terms of moving forward and how I stay okay and how I continue thriving, it for me comes back to my struggles with mental health. When I was a little bit younger, I went through trauma from ages like 7 through 20 roughly, and that really impacted my mental health. And when I was, just before I was 25, I hit that rock bottom. I wrote this song called Rosie that I'm releasing, and I ended up hospitalized. I had told myself at the time, I have until 25 to make it. That's the point where
Sure,
you've got to be successful.
Right?
Impossible
threshold.
We all go through that. We're like, if I don't make it by
that's it. That's a success threshold. And when I was 24 and 9 months, I realized I was not going to make it, whatever that means, by 25. So I ended up hospitalized, and that was the pivotal point for me of turning my life around and deciding, you know what, 25 is going to be a new beginning for me.
Yeah.
And I let myself completely daydream. The question that I always present to other people is, if I could be, do, or have anything in the world, what would that look like? And just giving yourself the space to answer that question without any judgment. And then the steps that you can take to shift your mindset and to act on that. And even throughout all of the things that I've been through in the past several years, being able to hold that and meet myself where I'm at and say, okay, well, I can't do XYZ right now. That's a fact. I cannot move through this thing. What can I move through? What do I have the power to control? Yeah. And that's how I'm at this point where I'm at now. And it feels really scary because I've been in such a stationary place, to give myself the permission to say again, you know what, everything is possible. I'm going to lean into this thing that worked for me so many years ago, and I'm going to just ride this out and see where it all goes. Leaning into that is what allows me to thrive now and to get back into sharing that story in a new way.
Well, good.
That's awesome.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course.
How did you communicate during that time? Like, could you still speak? You just couldn't sing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't speak a ton. I fatigued very, very quickly. And my voice would crack a lot. That was annoying. Did not love that. But no, it was singing that was just brutally not very possible.
That's horrible. I'm so sorry.
I've known a couple of people who have had issues, had issues with either their vocal cords, or I knew somebody who had a tumor that kind of interrupted with that, and I knew somebody else who just, I don't know, she just had an issue with that, and I've thought a lot about man, if I lost my voice, that'd be devastating. That would be just incredibly difficult. But it's, I mean, thank God you're better now, and also it makes me, as you were sharing that and really touched me, it just made me realize that everybody's got shit going on.
Everybody.
And that's the thing that's I think part of what makes music special is that I guess we are kind of we write some songs that are about the Friday in the driveway and stuff like that, but we've all got shit that's going on that we need to share about, and we overcame it, or we're really struggling with it, and that's part of the real, right? That's part of the real, like you were talking about.
Yeah, it is. It is, and we're in a tough industry anyway, so you add all of our personal things going on top of that. You really got to be tough and dogged and determined to keep going forward, even when you're not working on music, But that's what it is. It's just perseverance. Yeah. And so you got that in you. So that's great. That's great. You didn't give up. That's what's most important, is not giving up and just consistently working at it. That's and so people just. It's interesting, the mentalities when people first come to town. Or when we're younger, like you said, and it's over. If I don't make it by this time, whatever making it is, right?
Exactly.
Like you said, the ever elusive making it.
I don't know what that means.
I made a cake the other day. I felt pretty successful. So
we got a Waffle House after this.
Yeah, right. So,
epitome of success.
That's right. I made a good choice. I made a good choice the other day. That was amazing. So I love Waffle House. But that's awesome. So now, are you out there sharing, teaching this? Are you public speaking?
Yes.
Awesome.
That's
where do you do this? Where who invites you? Where do you go? Where do you find places to?
I started by working with an organization. They're called This Is My Brave. They've since pivoted what they do, but at the time their motto was storytelling saves lives, and they would have people come up and speak on stages. Each person would do a song, a poem, a speech, and it would be a collection of people really sharing their stories. When I started getting involved with them, that just kind of blew doors wide open for me, because it went well, and I was in their debut documentary, and I got just a lot of opportunities from that. Excellent. And social media, it's been an incredible resource
Yeah,
For
you
sure.
said that's your specialty, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like if I felt that I could break down my own barriers and step into my expertise with my own social media channels, I would probably grow really well. And it's so much easier for me to have it be a day job and just do it for other people than really lean in. I don't know how you guys feel. Like, what has your experience been as musicians and songwriters with social media?
I'm horrible at it.
It's tough to want to carve the time out for
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
it feels like the ROI is really dismal. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like I'm, an older guy, so it's like I guess I guess I haven't found my lane with it, or I'm just not that interested in talking into a screen. It's just it doesn't really do it for me.
That is a fair point that we have so many other things going on.
Yeah.
It's like sort of an afterthought for most of us.
Yeah.
We forget about it. We forget to do it, and so we forget to
I
advertise
have a hard time like
ourselves.
remembering to like even get footage if I'm like
in the
in a
moment.
cool right.
Yeah.
Like there's so many hangs where I'm like, oh, I wish I had taken a picture.
Yeah.
But it's like I just try to show up for it, and then
Yeah.
I always forget to like shoot a video or whatever.
Yes,
Then you feel like
little
you're missing
things.
out because you're like, oh, there was this cool thing that happened, and I totally wasn't
Yeah.
recording. But would that cool thing have happened if I was like sitting there or
Yeah.
thinking too much about
And
it?
not being in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I feel that's a wash to me. And maybe I'd be more famous than I am if I.
Social media is stressful. Like, it puts me into fight or flight. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Like, the way that I'm doing it now is like, I went through, looked at all my insights, which was like, I did it in the middle of like a bit of a mental breakdown. That's fine. It was.
Did you call that a mentee
A
bee?
mentee
I
bee.
called it a mentee bee. Yeah.
I love that. Mentee bee.
Mentee bee.
And
Not MTV.
No, it sounds like MTV, but I think it's
it's
awesome.
a mentee bee.
Mentee
Jack
bee.
was probably present for it. Sometimes he just looks at me like, what? And yeah, like being a modern artist, it's like you have so many other jobs, and like social media is such an amazing tool, but it's also like this is where the jaded thing comes in. Social media was the thing that was like making me be like, I don't know what to do. Like, because you feel like you have to look a certain way, like you have to be on brand for social media.
Yep.
And like, when I'm doing a co-write with my friend on Zoom, I'm in my pajamas. I don't have any makeup on. I don't look like any semblance of this, and it's usually like a hang. And trying to monetize that or commercialize that feels like it just takes away. And yeah, I've just been trying to figure out new ways to still make it meaningful, like, because I'm at that stage where I'm just trying to grab people so they hang around for the meaningful stuff. And like at the moment, the thing that's getting like the magic word, the engagement, are like me putting on like a gig outfit or like an outfit here while I'm traveling and being like, and putting my song over it, being like, I'm showing you my outfit so I can show you my music. Listen to it. And that's the thing that's been doing it, which feels super
That's so
transactional.
honest. I love that.
Sounds
So
great.
honest.
Yeah. Well, I'm an open book. I grew up in a hair salon. I don't know what a filter is.
Um,
I can't help it.
Do you talk about that on social media at all? Do you talk about growing up in a hair salon and like how that made you into who you
No,
are?
I'm actually trying to figure out how to like write the song though, because like in my mind it's a song. Like every kind of date that I've been on, like if we're talking relationships, every date I've been on, I've usually come home and told my mum and the clients about it because they are all basically aunties at this point. Like when I was a baby, those clients were like holding me while my mum was cutting their hair.
Can I like volunteer as tribute to write the song with you?
Yes!
I'm ready for this. I'm here for this.
We're here till Monday.
Okay, it's
Thinking
happening.
like
You're getting
Snickers
pulled
as
into
she
this.
is,
Okay.
but like
Some-
goes as
I
she
do
is
want to
was.
challenge what you said about
Yeah.
needing to look a certain way or be a certain way for a
Mhm.
brand. Authenticity, it's the same way with songwriting. Now on social media, the people who are curated, consumers are looking for people who aren't. They
Yeah.
want you to be yourself.
There you
I
go.
love that you're on a Zoom call in your pajamas, and if you're comfortable showing up that way, you should. Like
If it's a
that's
friend,
your brand.
yeah.
Your brand is who you are. I don't
Mhm.
like this idea that social media has kind of pushed onto people that you have to tick these boxes.
Mm-hmm.
People will flock to you when they see you.
So, question then. Yeah. So
that's such
since you're the expert,
beautiful
so she should be talking about like the personal stuff outside of the music too. Is that an important thing to do? I'm not a social media guy, so I don't know what's going to be successful. So with that, that's very interesting that you share like stuff else, like the personal stuff. Not, you don't have to get too deep, right? But just some personal stuff like that, which would be interesting, right? Do you recommend that? Do you recommend that for artists out there and all that?
Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. I think that that's something that's really missing for a lot of artists. I see artists find a lot more success when they kind of take down those walls, because there are so many musicians on social media. So it's not just your music that's going to stop someone. It's who you are as a human being. Exactly. It's your story. And obviously only share what you're comfortable with. I think it needs to, feel genuine, maybe a little bit uncomfortable because it's something new, but not uncomfortable to the point where it takes you out of yourself.
I was going to say the same thing is like on TikTok, you can find a million good artists and at the click of a button. 10 seconds, you find 10 great artists.
Yep.
So it's like, what differentiates you from all these other artists that are also making amazing music, that are also, they sound great, great voice, great song, great production. How do you separate yourself? You have to connect with these people and either have a story or bring them into your world or do something a little different to connect with them, because they can go ahead and find another artist at the click of a button.
Yeah.
Right?
It's interesting. I feel like at this stage in my career, I can sit down by myself or sit down with, so often I get to write with awesome people and show up in a way that feels totally authentic to who I am, but yet the moment I turn on the camera and I'm facing into it and like there's some kind of fear of like that's not existent at all when I'm in a writing situation. And it's interesting. It's like, what is it about that? It's like maybe it's just a different skill that you have to learn to have a different relationship with, and I don't know. It's one of those things I haven't really quite like unlocked that, like whatever that is for me personally with social media. And maybe it's just there's part of it that I feel like it's like PR for yourself in a way, or there's something that's just kind of feels a little fake, but maybe it doesn't have to be that way.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Sorry.
No, you're good. No,
go ahead. That's all I wanted to say.
No, something that I found has been nice for me is going out with a buddy to shoot some video and to shoot content, and it's like more like a hang. It's like we're hanging out and we're just gonna shoot each other. I'll shoot you, you shoot me. We'll talk a little bit.
Let's go do that. You want another buddy to do that with. Let's go do that sometime.
Yeah, I'm always down. I mean,
all right.
It's a good, like, I went out with one of my friends and we brought a soccer ball and we were like, and I actually put together a little blooper video of us just like doing dumb things like kicking the soccer ball and like we were doing pull-ups on the we just went out and had a good time, and that makes it a little more, it doesn't feel like, oh, like I have to go and shoot video right now. It's like, let's go hang out, we'll shoot each other, and we'll have some content, and we have a good time. So that's.
Did you get a good response? You put it online?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I went viral or anything crazy happened, but it gave us some content, and we had fun. We enjoyed it. So I would say that's a win, maybe. I don't know.
I wonder if some of that feeling you feel when you pull the camera out. I know, at least for me, like, we spend all day wearing so many hats, being creative, being vulnerable, writing these songs, and social media is doing all of those things too. So for me, by the end of the day, those tubes are drained.
I got another fucking job to do on top of everything else.
It's a whole other job, and it's a whole different type of creativity. It's a whole different type of vulnerable, and like, for me right now, I've basically not been on social media hardly at all, because with daily migraines, like, I have had to just have radical acceptance that is just not something I can accomplish right now. And I was getting into a bad mental health place, being down on myself, because it was part of my 2025 goals. I was doing way better with them last year before I went through all of these crazy health issues I've been dealing with in the last few months. And so I just had to, allow myself to put it on the shelf, and not feel bad about it every day that I'm not doing it, because I also know at the same time that every day I'm not posting, I'm not growing, you know, like there's all this pressure associated with pressure to look perfect when you're on there, you know. And yeah, I'm still working on finding the balance with all of that. And if you know, if I could have anything in the world or whatever, I wish that I could have a top social media person and either have the money able to pay them or not have to pay them. Obviously, I want them to make their money. They deserve to be paid for that. But somehow it's bartered or something like that, so that I didn't have to do it myself. Because, yeah, it's draining at the end of the day. It's time consuming. There's lots of research involved. You know, things on Instagram are very different than things on TikTok, you know, than different on Facebook, than different on YouTube. You know, there's, it's overwhelming. And I've done social media for other people professionally and been paid for it. Like, the mechanic's car is the worst one on the block, right? Like, I can do it for other people. And but mine, it's like, oh.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. You do for other people, but yourself, you can't do it. So, but I used to be really afraid of getting in front of the camera. It like freaked me out because I'm like, what do I do? How do I stand? I would get in my head, and so I would stiffen up in front of a camera, and so it took a while to get comfortable. For me, I can only tell you my experience where I just was weirded out. Somebody even playing when I was younger, people would come up with a camera, and I'm like, starting to stiffen up. I'm like, what do I do? How do I play? How do I look cool? And the weirdest things go through your head. So I don't know if it's for most people. You got to, like everything else, a comfort level. You just got to get comfortable with it. And being in front of a camera now, I'm just like a goofy idiot. You know, like
it is kind of interesting because I remember when I was first starting. I teach is a big part of what I do. I teach about sync. I teach about production and songwriting and all that stuff. And I remember when I first started doing that back in 2018. I was teaching like groups of 300 people, and I remember the first time I did it, I was like, "What is this? Like I'm talking into a camera. Like apparently there's some people out there. It's like, am I just talking to myself?" And then you just kind of over time, you just kind of get used to it. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, that wasn't so bad. I mean, I would usually just like put my lesson plan up over the screen so I wouldn't see myself or anybody else. And I'd just like feel like I was a crazy person just kind of talking to the computer. And then like an hour and a half would go by, and then, you know, okay, it's time to click end call or whatever. And then, but then over time, it's like it's gotten to a point where I just do it every week now, and it's like nothing. And so maybe it's like there's a 10,000 hours that goes into probably every little thing that you could do in your career, and maybe it's just like one of the things I'm realizing. It's just like you said, there's a lot of nuances to it. There's a lot of this, and then there's also just the like you shouldn't give a fuck what people think about like who you are, or you gotta show that, and then taking those two things together and putting them together probably makes you better at social media over time. And so I don't know, maybe it's just
on that note, like people on social media, right? So you have an account and you might have just like one for your artist or like your professional fronting project. So like if you are going to release a song, you might have like some cover art, and you might be on the cover, or you might have done some stuff that themes in with that. You're probably going to post that picture, and then maybe for certain songs you might do like a professional video clip. Maybe not for every song, but for some of those songs. So you've got like this content available, and then maybe there's going to be some videos from gigs or from studio sessions where you're doing your thing and you're owning the thing that you do, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it's that person. They're brilliant. We saw them playing at this festival downtown, or at a gig or on a session or whatever. So people are seeing you like that. They know that you look fantastic on a gig. But then the other thing is that everybody's a person, and maybe me as a consumer, I've been watching these Nashville guitar players, and it started as one dude who is probably like the king Nashville session player, realistically, a dude called Tom Bukovac. You probably drop his name around town, and everyone knows exactly who this guy is, realistically. And he started filming these videos that he would probably himself initially call maybe goofy or foreign, or like it felt a bit funny. And this was over COVID, and he was basically kind of giving back to the musical community by dropping all of these incredible tips about playing and being a part of the scene that we'd all pay lots of money to learn at one point in our career. and he was like propping his phone up on a no-name beer can. And you'd sit there, and some of these videos would be like maybe like 3 minutes. One might be like 23 minutes. And I think he's up to almost 400 episodes. He calls it homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's happened over this whole thing, and this is over quite a few years now, and maybe even happens to, because I definitely don't think it's deliberate, falls into this like social media trend, where now he's got 2 or 3 of the other, or some of the other greatest players involved in doing this, and everyone's propping their can up and going, I'm on my way to this session at Blackbird Studio, something incredible to play with Vince Gill, incredible. But I've just stopped at the shop and I'm trying to find what coffee's on sale. By the way, I bought a vintage guitar that's worth more than most people's car, but it really, jams my gears when this coffee's not on sale. And it's like, it's real. It's showing people this 360-degree kind of aspect. I mean, there's that artist Chapel Roan. She's taken over the world in the pop scene, and good on her. If you ask people who are in different kind of scenes what they think about her, as long as they kind of know about her, you're going to get some of these in-depth answers, I'm sure, and they probably haven't even met her. But she's used social media on just about every angle, and there's photos of her playing a tiny little stage, a keyboard. Where hasn't she played now? Like, it's crazy. Yeah. So maybe it is a good thing, like just being as authentic as you can.
Well, I would think, I was going to say, and you can probably verify this, that people want to get a little glimpse into people's lives. It's sort of the inside story, right?
Yeah.
And it's more fascinating and interesting. And so I can see a lot of relevance to that. I don't have a lot of online presence. Once I was no longer a touring musician or an artist trying to do that world, I just see myself as a guy behind the scenes. So that's how I behave and act. And people are like, you need to put some stuff out there and be a little bit more present, because I think people would be interested in what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, I guess, And so it's hard for me to be motivated for that kind of thing, because I'm like, really, they want to know what I do? No, they wouldn't.
I get that.
They would.
I get that a lot.
For the record.
So I just don't think about it.
You're very interesting, Scott. I reckon social
You are. I learned something new about you every time I'm with you. Like, it's crazy. What haven't you done?
Lived a lot of lives in one small lifetime. Yes, tried to anyway. But that is interesting. So maybe I will try it too. We'll see. Maybe I'll get some guest
circle
stuff.
back in
Yeah.
a couple of months.
Yeah, put some stuff out there.
We're back in June.
That's it.
There you go.
Maybe we should all hire somebody together. We'll just go in together. They can come be our friend.
Yes,
I
I heard there's an expert in the room right here. So but that might be a whole class for all of us.
Yeah.
Because I'm not good at it at all. Kind of shy about it. I'm weird about it. About people looking into my life. But man, I don't know. Maybe it's an important thing. Just like some of the songs you write that touch lives. Maybe they need that too. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to change my way of thinking to go, well, it's really not about me. I need to get out of my own way, and maybe some of the stuff is good for people and will touch some people.
I mean, if you hold back, it's robbery from society.
What are you trying to say?
I feel like it's if you're holding back in songwriting, you're robbing somebody. If you're holding back from how you could help somebody on social media, perhaps, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. But you're also not reaching out to everybody that you could be reaching out to. And I do see a parallel between like what we're trying to do with music and what we can accomplish through social media and just the different channels and this podcast. Honestly, like it's great. Like we're a part of the fabric too, and hopefully we'll start clipping some of this stuff and putting it up on social media. Who knows? Maybe that's a part of this too.
That might be something to do too. The little snippets. But with this, we're hoping that people out there, even if there's 2 tonight, they want to get a glimpse into what we do here in Nashville. I'd like to think so. While we're giving people the opportunity to get seen and heard, hopefully, and maybe get a little exposure to the world, because they definitely need it here in this town, because we're oversaturated, as we've talked about, and we can be in the shadows of the biggest stars where all the money and everything goes, all the focus is on them, when we're missing out on these amazing artists and amazing songs. So that's what I love. What John and I are trying to do here is to give them, people out there, a glimpse into that, and hopefully they'll enjoy it and want to continue to come back, spend time with us.
Well, I know we're getting a little late, but I'd love to hear some music too.
This is a good time to.
Yeah, I'd love to like in a way pass the guitar around and hear some songs.
Only there were some around.
There's only a couple guitars here.
What is this, 10?
You can't see it, but there's like 5 over there.
So many.
Yeah, there's a bunch
5
of
over
guitars
there.
here.
Plus I brought
got
mine.
one.
Yeah, I brought one.
Twist, we've actually been at Waffle House the whole time.
See, you're sold now. You're welcome. Your arteries are gonna hate me, but it's so good.
I had waffles for breakfast, and I'm like ready to go again.
Oh yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that.
Waffles are an all-time a day thing.
I'm
I
just
don't think
definitely
there's
not
anytime.
telling my doctor, oh, you never believe what I did. Went to Buc-ee's.
Waffle House. I have.
And I had chicken tenders.
I've been feeling a little funny.
See?
They were vegan.
Oh.
Vegan chicken tenders.
Vegan chickens.
Oh my god.
The chickens were vegan.
The chickens were vegan.
I mean, that's definitely one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Chickens are vegan, aren't they?
I think so. Most of them are. I don't know.
I
Any
just
chickens
think-
that aren't vegan. I mean, maybe they eat grubs or maybe I think chickens eat
worms.
insects,
That's
right?
Yeah, they
So I
would.
guess in a way
Worms,
they're
they're
not.
carnivores too.
Yeah,
They
they're
are
not.
dinosaurs. I have 6 chickens. They are
They are.
dinosaurs.
They eat all kind of stuff.
They're
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Well, don't they
Yeah.
say that birds are the
Okay.
only
Okay, great.
descendants of
Yeah.
dinosaurs? That's,
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's
what
a
I
thing.
hear.
That's
Yeah.
what we hear.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're
That's-
all weatherproof. Like,
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
That's the theory going around. Yes.
No, you're good.
That's such a cool guitar.
Having guitar.
Yeah.
If you want to,
I have
or
a
we can
guitar.
share guitars if you
I
want.
need to play. My hands are very small. I
Okay.
can only play tiny guitars.
Okay, no
And
worries,
I
no
can't
worries.
play full size guitars. It's a wild
If
situation.
you want to play this,
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I didn't bring a guitar, so I
There
came
you go.
straight
There
from.
you go.
All right. Thank you. Is this in standard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Please
It's not,
forgive
it's not
the
a half
tuning.
step down, nothing weird like
Got
that.
it.
It's just a good old
Gotta
standard tuning.
tune. It's very
No
important.
drop
Yeah, we're
D,
gonna
no
get the
s-
tuning situated here, everybody.
said it was
Sorry for the
not.
commotion or
that capo
cacophony.
is having issues. I have to get a new one. So
Oh, okay.
if any of the strings sound dead, just keep moving it until they all
Gotcha.
sound
I think
alive.
it sounds right.
Yeah, it's time for a new one.
We tune because we care.
Yes, it's very important. Tuning with the capo on is probably the most important thing we'll tell you tonight.
Yes.
Tune with your capo on the guitar.
Yeah.
That's something I don't understand. Why do people do that? I've never asked that question.
Why do you
Because
Well-
the
put
notes,
capo
the
on?
bend,
It
there's
bends
a
the
bend to the string when
Yeah.
you put the capo on, and so it might not keep the right tuning. So you gotta like
makes sense.
adjust.
Yeah,
the
so you just
string.
See, I was
Quick
gonna say
adjustments.
fucked if I know.
Now,
but now
when you
I
take
know.
the capo
Yeah,
off,
so
you
it's
have
just
to remember to retune
I'm glad you said that because where's my
because
capo?
the strings will be all wonky. They'll be great with the capo.
That's
Yeah.
why we
One-
have the
yeah.
pedals.
Yes.
Like, mute. It's so good.
Well, what I love about
True.
this new
Might have to get
generation
you
of
on
button
your
is
Jaeger
they
again.
have built-in tuners that mute it. When you press the button,
Oh,
it
right
mutes
down
it.
here?
It
Yeah.
mutes it, so you press it
That's so
Awesome.
cool.
and you
I know
tune.
it.
They can't
No,
see
you're
you
right.
tuning, and
We're gonna
it
get
also mutes the guitar,
What?
which is
Awesome.
amazing. Now, occasionally I've forgotten, so I went to play and nothing came out. I'm like, oh, my tuner. Yeah, bloop. But I love that feature that they just added
that's
to the
nice.
new Martins because that's like a two-year-old, just a couple of years old, and so that's the newest generation with the built-in tuner, and I was like, oh hell,
That's Flash.
yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah, speaking of Flash,
It always gets
y'all
me.
playing that? He said that's Flash.
Oh yeah, man, we've been talking for
I
weeks.
worked it out before the show.
At Waffle House.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who would like to kick off? Who wants to
Ooh.
start?
Why don't you
All right. Challenge out.
You have your guitar.
I'm going to pull up the lyrics just because
Oh,
it's
wow,
been
that is so
very,
cool.
very long.
Jericho's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to even get
Okay,
Barrier to
yes.
try. 'cause-
So, well, I brought my guitar, so I didn't put you on the spot like last time. So, fun fact: I didn't know until I was an adult, but I was born half deaf, and I wear hearing aids. And my dad got me this guitar, not this Christmas, but the last Christmas, because the hole is at the top, so it points
At you.
That's
the
cool.
sound to my ears, especially if
Oh,
I'm playing in a
wow.
place where there's not great feedback or like monitors, and I can still hear myself. Yeah, and this is a Boulder Creek guitar, and they have like a patented, unique design on the inside. They're the only ones that can make it like this for this whole. Yeah, it's really neat. And the neck is a little bit smaller. It's a woman's body a little bit better. At least my woman's body. So yeah, I'm gonna pull up the lyrics because it's been a long day, y'all.
Phone for you or?
No, I think I've got 90% of it, but just in case, a little security blanket here. All right. So being a songwriter is complicated, so sometimes you write songs with your exes and they end up being good ones that you got to play forever, It is what it is. So this is called Going Well. I knew when I woke up this morning, time to still be cold. I knew well before I checked my phone that I'd have no missed calls. I knew when I drove past your place on my shortcut to work, the car would be parked next to yours, and that was gonna hurt. When I see it coming, I can make believe it's nothing. And then I'm walking into church, and someone asks me where you are. Then I find one of your t-shirts in the backseat of my car. Then I hear some stupid joke that your dad used to tell. But any other time, forgetting you is going well. I tried to clean my house of memories, but it hurt more than it helped. 'Cause the spaces that are empty, where I feel you still, like the calendar by the front door, or the frame stuck to the fridge. It's a simple fact, it's missing, makes you think of it. And then I'm walking into church, someone asks me where you are. Then I find one of your t-shirts in the backseat of my car. Then I hear some stupid joke that your mom used to tell. But any other time, forgetting you is going well. When I see it coming, I can make believe it's nothing. I can make believe it's nothing. But damn, boy, we were something. And then I'm walking into church, and someone asks me where you are. And then I find one of your t-shirts in the backseat of my car. Then I hear some stupid joke your grandma used to tell. Any other time, forgetting you is going well. Any other time, forgetting you is going well.
Awesome. Yeah, I could hear it. Wanted to check, see how our sound was doing.
Yeah, no, sound
And
good.
and yeah, so just remember to sing out.
Oh,
Sing
sorry.
out. You did it. That's okay. This is part of the learning curve of
No, you're
a
good.
new
We use-
podcast.
All right.
Is learning how our setup's going to work. So you came through beautifully.
Oh, okay.
Every now and then it was a little quiet vocally because the guitar dominated. But these are the things that we're learning as we go.
Yeah, yeah.
So sing out. I'm learning. Because I'll put these back on. I'll be quiet now. And I'll let you know. This is fascinating how this is going.
Cool. You don't want to do one of yours? No?
I haven't played. This is so lazy of me. This is talking about a lazy project. I haven't even played my tunes for a little while.
Okay.
You do one of yours and I'll see how I go.
Ah,
What
cool.
do you want to do?
Maybe Heartbreaks.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. I wrote this song going into this write. I didn't even realise that we were writing for me. It was a thing happening in Brisbane, which is where we live in Australia, called Song Culture, where 2 songwriters invited a bunch of artists and songwriters to a studio over 2 days, and we were sorted into groups at random to write songs and just hang out. It was really cool. It was really fun. I got invited the night before, and I wrote this with an artist named Melanie Dyer, another girl named Tyler Rodriguez, and a producer named Jared Adlam. I remember going into the write and ranting about how I had a really crap boyfriend and he drove a car that was made out of 5 other cars, and if I were to write a song about him, I wouldn't kill him in the song, I would set his car on fire because that would hurt more. And this is what happened. This is called Heartbreaks. This is actually like my most recent single. It was a lot of fun to record, and sometimes you just need to write something that isn't that serious.
Yeah.
That is true.
And
that is true.
this was one of those. In the write, I was talking about how much I love Elle King and Miranda Lambert, and just how those sort of goodbye Earl songs that make you want to scream in your car because you're like, yeah. And yeah, this was our go at it. I'm gonna sit forward. I got flowers for your mama to get on her good side, but nothing ever will compare to the apple of her eye. Baby boy could do no wrong, bless her heart, think she raised him right. Saw that so-called friend of yours, you swore that's not your type, then saw a message on your phone, I read between the lines. You can call me crazy, yeah, call me what you like. What I've done is justified. Lord, forgive me for what I've done. He forced my hand on a loaded gun. Strike that match, send it up in flames. We both know that you're the one to blame. You've made your bed, that's your mistake, so I'll be on my way, 'cause I'm all gas, no heartbreaks. I ain't washing down my blues or wasting my good wine. I won't shed a single tear, 'cause it ain't even worth crying. I stole your precious four-wheel drive and took it for a joyride. Lord, forgive me for what I've done. He forced my hand on a loaded gun. Strike that match, send it up in flames. We both know that you're the one to blame. You've made your bed, that's your mistake, so I'll be on my way, 'cause I'm all gas, no heartbreaks. I'm pedal to the metal, I'm running out that door. You can save your lies, you're not my problem anymore. I'm pedal to the metal, I'm running out that door. What's a girl to do but settle a score? Lord, forgive me for what I've done. He forced my hand on a loaded gun. Strike that match, send it up in flames. We both know that you're the one to blame. You've made your bed, that's your mistake, so I'll be on my way. All gas, no heartbreaks. All gas, no heartbreaks.
You gotta do one, Jack. You gotta
Come on,
do
Jack.
one.
I'll do
Come
one.
on.
I'll do one. I might be a little rusty. Yeah, I might do one way ticket.
No worries.
I I wrote this a while ago. I have a funny concept for this project that I've got of mine, and I've written music with a lot of people and in bands, you know, that old school thing, and and it's cool because the co-writing thing's like that ever revolving door of bands, you know.
What's a band?
And I loved that. I was very lucky as a sort of younger person, really, in the scheme of things, to have the opportunity to write with a sort of alternative rock band who was already doing quite well for themselves, and the guys in the band were all definitely way older than me, so I got to soak up that experience. And then once I'd sort of finished doing that, I was like, you know what, I think I want to have a project where I just write these songs myself. And I always knew, just from my tastes, that, you know, the produced songs would, you know, sound like a band, of course, but I wanted the songs to stand up on their own in the most stripped back sense, you know, with an acoustic guitar and singing. And I probably really need to pick it up a little bit more, but this is called One Way Ticket. Let's see if I can remember it all. I think it's time that a little luck comes my way. I'm not blind, but I was a fool to never let myself just fall for you. Now it's time to pick my heart up off the floor. I need a one-way ticket to another town. Gonna take my love to a higher ground. When I find someone who makes my world go round, gonna show them love. It's time to allergies.
Sounds like you remembered it. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's great.
Thank you.
See if I can move a little closer here. There we go. So this one, it's Valentine's Day, so I'm going to do just a nice, lighthearted love song here. This one's called Undertow. And this one's actually out if you search Mariano Malia. It's I put this out. But this is a song actually I wrote back when I was in Delaware. And I was working at a financial advising office. And I had actually just gotten my license to be an advisor, and then I left and I moved here. But while I was at this job, I was sitting at my desk one day, and this melody came into my head, and it's the chorus melody of this song. So I ran out into the hallway real quick. I recorded the little voice memo in my phone with that melody, and then the rest was history. I went home, I started writing it, and over the course of probably was a couple of days where I wrote the chorus first and then came back on the verses, and the song Undertow came out. So here it goes. Girl, it's been a couple months swimming in your sacred love. Impossible to know too much. With each new wave I catch a brand new rush. You're like an ocean, I dive deep. So many parts to explore, baby. Baby, yeah. Oh, the depth of your heartbeat. I wanna learn so much more, baby, yeah. Every time I see a smile, you blow my mind. I wanna love you with the lights real low. We could run around this town all night, see the lights, let the tide pull us in real close. Oh, suffocate me with your lips, drive me in your sunset eyes. 'Cause every time I'm with you, baby, wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Take my hand and pull me out until my feet can't touch the ground. You could let go, no need to float. I'ma just sink to the ocean floor. And please don't try to save me, baby. Please don't stop the waves, darling. You're like an ocean, I dive deep. So many parts to explore, baby. Baby, yeah. Oh, the depth of your heartbeat. I wanna learn so much more, baby, yeah. Every time I see a smile, you blow my mind. I wanna love you with the lights real low. We could run around this town all night, see the lights, let the tide pull us in real close. Oh, suffocate me with your lips, drive me in your sunset eyes. 'Cause every time I'm with you, baby, wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. So when I do this one live, guys, I usually do a little sing-along here. So if you want to join me, it's not too hard. I wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Every time I see a smile, you blow my mind. I wanna love you with the lights real low. We could run around this town all night, see the lights, let the tide pull us in real close. Oh, suffocate me with your lips, drive me in your sunset eyes. 'Cause every time I'm with you, baby, wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Oh, oh, I wanna get lost in your undertow. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
catchy.
guys. Thank you so much.
I think we talked about your influences a little bit. There's a little Mraz in there.
A little Jack Johnson maybe.
Yeah, a little Jack Johnson, definitely. Some other influences. It's very cool. You can hear those in there. Of course.
Thank you.
Can I borrow a capo?
Sure. Again, that capo is weird.
Okay.
It's starting to get old, so
maybe this one.
You might
Not
have
weird.
you might have better luck.
Sorry, I mean to flex.
Can someone tune because tuning by ear is
Mine's
it's
not
just
weird.
it's just not gonna end well. Can you tune?
Sure.
Here.
Oh, thank you.
I've got this. Yeah.
Oh, I'll take that one.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take.
Love that.
Just flick it on the top.
Is that a Diodario? What is that?
It's one of those Flashy Peterson ones. It's a stroby.
Okay. All right. One of those. Okay. How do I know if I'm on? What is it gonna? What does it tell me?
It slows down, so it's one of those.
Oh, that's the one I have.
Oh my
I
gosh!
hate
How
it.
do I?
actually kind of hate it because it's like I like the one where it just like goes.
Yeah, go back up.
I'm gonna go this. Wow.
The one where it speeds up and slows
Oh
down.
my gosh! The
I hate
technology
it.
is like freaking me out.
I spent like $70 on it too, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, the worst thing, I can't get away from it. I'm stuck.
Is
You
it
like it?
center?
Yeah.
Center?
Oh, okay. Maybe I just haven't gotten used to it.
Playing
It's
that
just
string,
something.
right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's studio,
So
I
tune
can't
down.
go past it.
Your
It's
10
really
pitches off.
precise.
Tune down. There you go.
Maybe that's why. It's just.
It'll
Really?
turn. It'll keep going. It'll turn green when you get.
This is the tuning show.
A little bit more.
This is the
A little bit
tuning
more.
portion of the podcast.
Are you tuning that to?
There you go. See the check mark? That's
Did
how
you
you know
tune
you
that
got
to E or F? Because it's on capo 1.
Which means it should be
it.
like.
And this is why I tune without the capo.
That should be enough.
Oh, it should be an
Yeah.
F, not
Yeah, if you take the capo off, it'll
E.
match. The letters will match. Sorry. Good point.
We're gonna tune pre-capo. That's how we're gonna
Sorry,
do
folks.
it. Thanks for everyone's.
We're new.
While this is
Super
happening, I'm
new.
gonna hit the restroom.
I'm sorry.
Fabulous.
So in the way today.
Do you want me to move that somewhere?
Do you mind putting it back in the case? I would appreciate that.
This yours here?
Nope.
Yeah,
Behind.
it's gone.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now it's going much faster than it's in the right key. It's like
Yeah, it was
really
probably
fast.
confused. It's like I don't know about
I was
this.
like, what is going
Grab
on?
some more water. Excuse me, guys. Anyone need anything? You guys okay?
I'm
or-
okay, thank you.
We also don't get a chance to vocally warm up like before
No.
this. We just jump right into
We've
it.
been talking
so
for multiple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
do as we say, not as we do. You just important to warm up. Very important.
Yeah, when I started singing that chorus, I was like, oh.
Everyone's talking about these Nashville allergies. I'm an allergy dude normally. I was like, I've been sweet. Start singing, not sweet.
Allergy testing, like, and treatment saved my life, like literally. So that if I don't know if that would help you or not,
I've
but
done it.
oh,
Yeah.
whew, changed my life.
Is it easier to play classical?
I don't even know what that.
Oh,
means.
classical tends to have nylon strings, so they're easier to push down and they're easier
I
on the
do
fingers
play nylon strings
than the metal.
generally.
You know? Yeah.
That's why I play ukulele. Nylon strings.
Ooh. Yeah, those tuners always freak me out too. I'm the worst at. Apparently, I'm just not a good tuner.
Moving on to different spots. So.
Thank you. There we go.
I need to remember to take that with me because it's hiding under there, and I will forget.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Great.
That's mostly there.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Yes. Apparently, I'm tuner challenged tonight.
Thank you.
Do you want me to hold that so it doesn't fall on the cushion and get tangled? No, it's okay. I've just been there before. And I can't watch it happen to someone else. And considering because there's the pretty dangly bits,
No, I appreciate you.
that's okay.
Is it out now that the capo's put
It
on?
is out now that the capo's on.
Do you want me to give it a whirl with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say you're in charge of that. That
Thanks.
freaked me out. A little freak out. It's like, oh, there are all these moving parts.
once you get used to it, you get hooked. I reckon.
I have not gotten used to it.
I
actually
still-
don't.
Okay,
I'm
good.
not
That makes
used
me
to
feel
that.
better because I
I'm
was
not
totally
used to that
freaked out. I was
style,
like,
but-
what
I had
is
no
going
idea what it was saying.
Yeah. so much going on. I was
Like,
like,
get in your space so I can
Yeah,
watch
no, it
this.
just
I've gotten
it's
away
like
from
it,
using that
it
tuner by
tells
just
you
making
that
Jack
it's
play
too
guitar
low
for
or
me.
too high.
That's I
kinda
don't
count
usually play guitar,
intuitively
and
to
that's
me,
how
but
I get away with
it
it.
does make sense after a while. You kind of figure it out, but like if it doesn't move at all, then it's like perfectly.
How many
tuned.
musicians does it take to
Yeah,
figure
exactly.
I
Whole
know,
room
right?
of
Tuning a
where-
guitar.
We're still
I don't
Like, what
understand at all. It's
No,
a
right?
Tetris.
It's
What is
very-
happening?
Both tuners I was
I
having
don't
issues
either.
with.
I'm so
I'm
confused.
tuner challenged tonight.
Mom, come
I'm so
pick me
used to
up.
I'm so used to my very simple one, and it's so I guess I'm spoiled because it's so simple. It's just
I mean, I like those. What are they? They're called snarks, right? I
Those
like
are
the
great.
snarks, but
They're
they're
great.
so.
Those are great.
I went
They
through like
die
6
so
of them.
fast.
Yeah.
Like
They never last.
easily.
They
Yes.
never
Mine's
last.
like
Even I
hanging
mean, I
by
know how
it
to replace
forever.
the battery in it, but it just breaks. It like
Yeah.
straight up just stops working.
But we'd love to be sponsored by Snark if they're.
Love
Yeah,
you,
I mean,
Snark.
love
Just
you,
kidding.
yeah. Now it's
Just
Uh,
kidding, Snark.
Can we have an endorsement?
Yeah.
Sorry, Snark.
We'll totally change our opinion on snarks if you
Yeah.
endorse
Oh
our
my
podcast.
God.
You know
Yeah,
what?
next
They
sponsor
should
our
send
podcast.
free Snark products.
Yeah.
To prove us,
Yeah,
to
would-
prove to
exactly.
us
Yeah,
that
I
like,
love
we
them
were
when
wrong.
they
we are
work.
wrong.
I
Yes.
love them, but
Yeah.
yeah, you
They're the
have to
best.
replace them
That's
a
a big
lot.
challenge.
My one was red. I couldn't lose it, and then it broke.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks.
No worries.
Thank you.
All right.
Clutch.
Ooh, I haven't played guitar in a while. Okay. Playing sitting. I don't know how any of you do it. Oh, God.
Practice.
All right. Cool. This is exciting. This is called I Love to Be Me.
I have those days when I wake up and can't see myself. Someone shut off the lights and I'm crying over her. Just rolling out of bed feels like the biggest win, and I'm not sure where to begin. I have those days when I can't stand to see my face and I try to force a smile, but it quickly is erased. I have those moments where I swear I'm gonna cave, but I stand up and I smile, and I say, I stand in the mountains, command all the seas. Hold on to love there. I love to be me. I love to be me. Oh, 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 I love to be me. Oh, oh.
Nope.
No worries.
You have those days when your dreams they seem so far away, and you wish someone would answer all your prayers. You have those days where your confidence just runs away, and you question whether anybody cares. But you have those days when you know you are okay, and you fall so far in love with who you were born to be. You have those moments when you know your heart is brave and you
wasn't really planning on it, but I mean, I got one there.
I wasn't exactly planning on it.
Mine's a drop D, so
Come on.
I'll play something. I wasn't gonna, but
I wasn't either. I was just gonna listen all that.
I would just listen, but
Yeah, me too.
I guess I'll play something.
What did you say earlier? When you don't, whatever with the world, you're depriving them.
Yeah,
that whole
yeah.
thing.
You're robbing
Would you
them.
mind handing me that
Robbing
yellow
them, there
pick
you
that's on the
go.
table there? I'll do it. I wrote this with Scott. Scott and I've been writing quite a bit lately. Oh, there's a pick in the guitar. All right, well, whatever. Extra bonus pick. All right, I had a pretty rough start to the year. My grandma died. I found out a friend of mine who I was really close with out in Los Angeles passed away over the holidays, and I don't know, just a really rough start to the year. And I don't know, just having one of those weeks, and it's just felt like writing a song that was like, just forget about it, forget about it, get out, get a drink, hang out with some friends. That's kind of what we ended up writing that day. And this song is called Room in Paradise. Let me just pull up the lyrics. This is a brand new song, so I'm going to be cheating here. Let's see. Paradise. I actually played this last night, and I actually managed to remember most of the lyrics. So, let's see how this goes. I've been working on this all day in the studio, so hopefully some of it translates. Sorry,
We need you.
He's got the stock. Yeah, there was something off. Damn it. It's like, that ain't right. Yeah. There's just too much talent in here. It's getting too hot. Screwing up everybody's tuning. Alright, I think those are the only strings that I really use on this. Alright, let's try that again. That's better. Been the worst damn week that I've had all year, and it ain't even half over yet. Order up a shot of beam and a long neck course, and that'll get me right in the head. On my way to heaven again, with that ice cold sweat on the label. Just take a sip and set it down on the table. See them tall ones make you say, hey yo, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Just the place to pour out your problems and fill up your cup with something stronger to solve them. Here's your invitation, come on, get you some. We got plenty of room here in paradise. Put it on my tab, I can buy this round, 'cause that's the least an angel can do. They got smiles on draft right about now. It looks like you could use one too. Our oasis from the drought of the blues, with that ice cold sweat on the label. Just take a sip and set it down on the table. See them tall ones make you say, hey yo, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Just the place to pour out your problems and fill up your cup with something stronger to solve them. Here's your invitation, come on, get you some. We got plenty of room here in paradise. Whoa, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Oh, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Here's the bridge that I'm not sure I'm gonna remember. No such thing as strangers here. Hey, welcome to the revelry choir. Pop the tops, pass them on down, raise them up and then raise them high. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah.
songwriters. That ice cold sweat on the label. Just take a sip and set it down on the table. See them tall ones make you say, hey, y'all, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Just the place to sort out your problems and fill up your cup with something stronger to solve them. Here's your invitation, come on, get you some. We got plenty of room here in paradise. Whoa, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Whoa, we got plenty of room here in paradise. Yeah, we do.
Heck yeah. Woo.
I love that
What are you
chorus
gonna
melody.
play?
I don't know. What do you want to play?
I want you to play Friday. We've
Friday?
referenced it the
No,
whole
goodness.
podcast. but don't play that if you don't want to.
No, we can do
No
it.
pressure.
We can do it. We can do it. This is one of those wacky co-writes. Am I supposed to tell the backstory to this thing?
Please.
Especially if it's a wacky co-write.
Yeah, it was wacky.
Don't rob us.
What's that?
Don't
Don't
rob
rob
us.
us.
Yes, sir. So, my wife's from the Milwaukee area, Waukesha, Wisconsin, to be exact. And so, her parents, when it's warm out, because the summers are short, as you know, you spend time in Milwaukee, and so when it's warm out, they have driveway hangouts, hang out in their driveway, and so, but they don't hang it out in each other's driveway. That was the weird thing. So when we went to visit during the summer and it was nice out, it's like they sat in their driveway, my wife's parents, and their neighbors sat in their driveway.
Oh my god.
And those neighbors sat in their driveway, but they didn't sit in each other's driveway, but they talked across the cul-de-sac.
Oh my lord.
Right? And so I know, and I'm just taking all this in going, this is really unusual. I don't know. I just made a note of it. So they came to visit us here in Nashville, my wife's parents, and it was hot summer. Our summers are much more brutal than Wisconsin usually. And so I came home from a write, and there they were in the driveway with the garage door up. They'd somehow found our little lounge chairs and put them out. And I'm like, they're doing the thing in Tennessee. And just sitting out there. You know, I'm like, what are y'all doing? They're like, we're hanging out in the driveway. That's what we do. I'm like, wow, I had no idea it's a thing. So I once again made a mental note. I'm like, this is so weird. I don't know what to do with this. I want to write about it. I don't know what to do with it. So a couple weeks later, I was in the writer's room with Billy Lee and Nancy Decken. And Nancy said, I want to do a Friday song. And there are a lot of Friday songs. So I said, can we put a twist on it called Friday in My Driveway? And they're like, that is so weird. We got to write that. So this is what came out. Upside down koozie on a mailbox flag. Smoke will be smoking up the cul-de-sac. Spent all day popping up a party tent so the boys and the girls and the beer don't sweat. About a quarter mile off the highway, happy hour starts at 4:58 on Friday in my driveway. Slipping on a downhill slide day, 3-day replay, crash at my place, take it all the way to Sunday. After sundown, sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday in my driveway. Friday in my driveway. If there's no room, park in the neighbor's yard. I'll come pick you all up in my gator car. Hang by the fire pit all night long, pass the guitar and sing our favorite songs. And I'll hula dance, flowers in my hair, everybody laughing in their lawn chairs on Friday in my driveway, slipping on a downhill slide day, 3 celebrate on Friday in my driveway, slipping on a downhill slide day. 3-day replay, crashing my place, taking all the way to Sunday. On Friday in my driveway, slipping on a downhill slide day. 3-day replay, crashing my place, taking all the way to Sunday. After sundown, sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday in my driveway. Friday in my driveway. Friday in my driveway. Friday in my driveway. After sundown, sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday in my driveway. Here you go, Friday in my driveway.
Woo! Yeah.
So good.
Talk about goofy songs. That's what came out.
That's fun.
My husband said to me like 2 days ago, I said something about on Friday, and he's like, in your driveway? I meant to text you about that. I forgot.
Who's Tim Cole?
My husband.
Hey, all right. He said, y'all sound great.
Aw,
Thanks
that's
for the
nice.
comment.
Thank
Appreciate you. Yeah, if you're still there, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for being one of our how many tonight? 2 listeners. Yeah. Two
No,
viewers.
you are a super fan. We appreciate it. You're our first super fan. Our very first super fan.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
This has been quite the follow-up to the first. I would venture to say, I know we said last week was the best episode ever,
Because it was our first one.
but maybe
It
this
was.
was the best episode ever. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
It's gonna
Next
be
Pretty
week's gonna
good.
tell.
a lot of competition.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition.
It's in the running for the best episode ever.
In the running.
By
It's
far.
top
It's
2.
It's definitely in the top
Definitely
two.
top two.
Two bits, Scott.
Y'all let us know.
Yeah,
well,
let us
appreciate
know,
you having us.
and maybe you just go around really quick and let everybody know where we can find you all.
Yes.
So maybe
That's
we'll
a
start with our amazing Australian guests here.
Hey, you can find me on Instagram as Jack Hudson Music, and any of the streaming platforms as Jack Hudson.
Awesome.
You can find me on nearly every social media platform except for LinkedIn.
Same.
Who's on LinkedIn?
Under the name Piper Rodriguez. My handle is Hi Hey. It's Piper. I'm on. Look, it was like a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs thing, like the hi ho, off to work we go thing. But you can't exactly have a handle that says like hi ho. It's Piper. That's
I would have one of those. Just say I would pick that specifically. I think it's
because, yeah.
hilarious.
Just
Thank
because.
you
It
so
is
much.
funny. That is funny.
Thanks for having us. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
thank
stop
you.
talking.
Thank you.
And my name is Mariano Malia. Last name is spelled Mallia. You can find me on any streaming platform, any social media. And John and Scott, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. This has been so much fun.
Joining us.
Coming
Yeah,
out,
absolutely.
I am at HanaCon Official on music stuff for TikTok, Instagram. I'm at HanaCon on YouTube, HanaKahn. Instagram seems to have shadow banned me. You can't find my account unless you type in the entire username and click the search bar, and then I'm maybe there. It's great. It's wonderful. But on, I also have stuff for my mental health and mindset stuff, and that's at We Are Golden Stars on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Great.
Very cool.
Great resources for people too. So
Excellent.
yeah, thank you for coming out.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. That's
Thanks
great.
for
That was
having me.
super informative tonight. Yes.
Are you on the socials now?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I
well,
mean,
your
I'm
turn.
there. May not be heavily, invested. Trying not to rob people of whatever it is I do here in Nashville.
Break those barriers, Scott.
Thank you.
Break
well
down the
played.
barriers.
Well played.
I'm sure you've never heard that.
Never, ever.
I've never heard
We
break
didn't
down the
crack it.
walls. It's a whole thing.
So you can find me at Scott Barrier. Pretty much Facebook, Instagram. I've got like 12 videos on TikTok that are really horrible. But primarily on those two, just look up Scott, SCOTT, Barrier, BARRIER, just like the reef outside of Australia.
Right.
Same spelling.
It all comes
Great
back.
Barrier Reef.
It
Thank you,
does.
thank you. Yeah. And so that's where you can find me. And so My whole social media thing is that I promote everyone I work with for the most part. If I can remember to do it, I have a bad memory. But I really that's what I use that platform for. Those platforms is the people that I work with and support. I put their music up. So that's what I do. And I guess that's my little bit of presence out there in the world.
Right.
So, John?
Oh, you can find me on the John Jameson is my country stuff, and for everything else I do, it's John Clinebell, Clinebell, on pretty much all the things.
Awesome.
But I'm only on Instagram for John Jameson for now.
All right, cool.
I'm Jericho. You can find me Jericho Music on TikTok, Jericho's Music on Facebook, and Jericho Music _ on Instagram. And I'm on Spotify and Apple Music, all the music places, and yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
And doing it was really fun. Learned a lot of things. A ton of things tonight. So hopefully
fantastic
other people
hang.
did
Hopefully
too.
you all had a good time checking this out, whether you checked it out live,
Hopefully.
super fan, or you're checking this out on a replay. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
and we'll be back again next week, Friday nights, here at Kingship in downtown Nashville.
At the Music Row
City
Writers
Room.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be back next week. All right.
Thank you all.
Let's go to Waffle House.
Yeah, let's go to Waffle House now.
Waffle House it is.
All right, I got to turn this thing off, too. Before we start cursing.